Yeah, we don't usually have intro.
No, all good.
I'll do the intro like afterwards.
Yeah.
And then straight into it. Yeah, man.
No, that's all good, bro. I'm easy as I just go with the flow too.
How do you do your one? Like,
Yeah.
do you do an intro?
Yeah.
Like, do the big...
Yeah. I just do like a like, hey, what's up? This is the Back Yourself podcast, and then with me today, the bros from, is it Wes? How do you pronounce it? Wes?
Oh, that's the
Wes,
umbrella.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
our podcast is called Back on the 135.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, sweet. So I'll just do something like that, and then just hit the roll the intro, and then boom. And then,
Oh, nice.
There we go. Yeah.
So you're doing it on the go?
Yeah.
So you don't add anything in later on? Or?
Nah. Yeah. So I just do it on the go, and then because that way that when it gets to the editing part, I'm just like, oh, no, sweet, it's all raw. So I try and keep it raw. Yeah, I think the first time, with anyone, like it's always the first podcast. Like I remember when I did my first one, it was like, I went back and edited a few things and stuff because the bro told me, oh, can you take this out and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, sweet, all good. But it just takes too long, and it just gets to a point where it's like, oh, it's too much, of your time and stuff. So yeah. But it is what it is.
It's funny because it took us, episode 50 to start not to edit anymore.
Oh,
Because I was the first 10, man, just editing that out because I didn't like how I said that. Or it's too much ums and taking them out and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it's just one of those things. Like even me, man, like with the ums and stuff. Like I say it as well. One of my bros that I just got on Moses, like he says it quite a bit as well. And so like but for me, it's just like I got to start, not saying it. So that I don't have to do any of the editing and stuff. But now I just got to the point where I'm just like all raw and like just chuck it up straight away.
It's cool you said that because me when I was editing, I would purposely leave it if it sounds bad. It will teach me a lesson to not say again. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or speak properly next time. I'll leave it in.
I'm just like, yep, here we go. That's all. Yeah.
I think it's only natural though, and the other thing that we noticed, because the problem with our first maybe 20 was that there were a couple of beers involved, so there's a lot of you notice that the language kind of deteriorates. There's all like and then, man, no. So
Bro, when I said to you when I came in, like, do you want me? Should I have bought box for you? Because I don't drink.
Yeah,
I thought like my mates all know that, and even at the league clubs and stuff, and I only like have a couple of if it's on a big night, you know what I mean? And then but yeah, like for me, bro, that won't be an issue, but for the others, yeah, probably similar.
Well, it's only because we were, because it was new to us, so we were trying to get over the. I think it was just firstly just putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because that's why it took us a while to actually start putting video content out.
Yeah.
Because I was real self-conscious about it. It's like that kind of imposter syndrome. That kind of I don't want people to think, what is this guy talking about? It sounds like a bit of a eats guy, But then after a while, we were like, especially when we stopped editing our ums and all the gaps in between, we thought, no. This is this is our podcast, and once we knew who we were, that was it. We haven't edited anything since.
No. So it's funny what I said because I had anxiety, man, with that kind of thing, like getting out there in the beginning. Like, should I say this? Should I say that? Should I cut that? But it seems with you, like you're just automatic out there, like what I've heard on your podcast.
No, I try to be. But like I reckon it is that initial phase there. It's like if you're it's the initial phase, like if people were going to judge you, they're going to judge you no matter what. It's like it's that initial the initial step that you got to take. And like for me, like I really wanted to start with a film straight away, but I'm not techie, bro. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until the bro Matt, he jumped on and offered his availability and said, bro, I'll help you out. And I was like, oh shucks. I thought about it for a little bit, and then I was like, man, I think I do need someone, and then man, just without it, like in the blink of an eye, the bro jumps on and he goes, this is what we can do. This is, I was like, yo, sweet. And so, but yeah, for me, man, I'm kind of the same. Like, if people are going to judge you, they're going to judge you no matter what. They'll probably judge you for the rest of your life, but it's the ones that don't, they're the ones that do matter at the end of the day, So,
Did you have that attitude right at the beginning? Or
what was that?
Did you have that attitude right at the beginning? Like,
yeah, I've always been kind of like a social, as they say, a social butterfly. Like I've always been a person that like goes out, out of my way to introduce myself or to people I don't know and stuff. Like kind of like when I walked in, then just sup boys, sup, it's like I've already known you guys for a little while, So like for me, I think that's important because it's like it sets the tone straight away that, and it's like, oh, this dude's pretty open, we can just have a jam, have a chat, But yeah, like in the initial beginning, bro, I was just like, yeah, let's just see where it goes, have fun with it, if people love it, that's cool, and people do love it, and like they let you know too, whether it's in person or through message or something, so yeah, man,
it's awesome that you say that, because I think that was another part why we started getting confidence as well. Because it was, because initially you always have your friends and family members to say, oh man, man, what he's doing, that's really nice. Okay. Or they're usually the harshest critics.
Yeah.
But then when you get the messages from people that you don't know, they start following you, and then they go, man, I've listened to your podcast. Or you read the comments on YouTube and go, oh, okay, then, like you said, it's usually, that's when I thought, okay, then there's actually, there's people out there listening, but the feedback's awesome as well. So,
yeah,
that's another confidence builder. I think that was for me too, because
funny you say that, bro, because my like when you said your friends and family are your harshest critics, that's the truth, and even for me, it's my sister, my brother, my mum and dad, my partner as well, and they always tell me like, oh, like when we were talking about the ums, you say too many ums, it's like little things like that, and stuff that at the time I don't really catch up or think about too much, and it's not until they tell me that I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I think you're right, For me now though, like I said, I don't worry about that in terms, of like holding the conversation and stuff, I try and let it flow as much as possible, but family are your harsh critics, but it does make you better at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all right if it's, where it's coming from, because it's they want you to, I'm not talking about like it's a product, but they want it to be put your best self out there. So they're usually coming from a good place, a place to love, because unless they're like this, you're absolutely wrong, and I'm not going to agree. I'm like, well, you better stop listening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm like, your friends and family or your listeners will be the ones that listen to your podcast. I don't know about you guys, but like for me, I don't listen to my own podcast, like unless it's something that I find really valuable in terms of, for me, I was speaking with Cam, I think yesterday, and I was like, I really want to use this, platform, to help me build a business, whether it's through a podcasting business or, my own personal brand outside of, podcasting and stuff, for me, I am trying to, do different things, that my mates aren't necessarily doing and stuff. But podcasting is something that's on the rise real quick, And so I'm, everyone's kind of starting to jump on that train now, and so it's just awesome to see, other people giving it a shot too, along the way. So yeah,
it is awesome to see. It's awesome to see when I first came across your one. Your one was really good.
Yeah.
And,
how did you come across it? Because
I think it was.
Did you know someone, or
I think it was another podcast, and there was a comment on it, and saying that someone said, "Oh, you should listen to back yourself."
Right.
Yeah. I was like, "What's that?" And I click on that, and I look,
oh yeah. Oh man, that's where tagging gets useful.
Yeah. So there's that sort of stuff, like the social media side of things, and trying to get.
Yeah.
But I find that with the podcast thing when we first started, I didn't really look into sort of actively trying to get listeners until later on. And now I understand there's a lot of work here.
Oh man, yeah.
Because you can't just think that you put in social media and it's going to be people going to listen to it straight away.
Yeah.
It's sort of like to me it feels like it's a mission for new people to get onto a podcast.
Yeah.
Because they have to download the app, they have to know how to find stuff and press play and listen.
Yeah. Well, it's like I saw this fact not too long ago, and I'm sure you guys would be aware of it as well. But like, I think it was a crazy fact. It was like, I don't know if it was 1 billion, or like it was a high number, of blogs out there. There's heaps of blogs, but in terms of podcasts, there's not too much more over 1 million. And so there's a huge difference, and I think that's why I heard a good. I'm quoting someone, I don't know who it was, but it was someone well known, and they said podcasting is like vaping. It's a trend right now. And so people are jumping on that trend. I see like 12-year-olds vaping and stuff, but I don't know if we should be talking about that, but you know what I mean, eh? But, like podcasting is the same thing, and like, we're talking about social media and everything, and, it's everywhere these days. And, it's about, obviously how do you use it and leverage it to, get your, podcast out there, or whatever, your music, or, your movies these days. Everyone's trying to figure out ways, along that pathway. But yeah, man, it's pretty crazy, bro, in terms of, where it's heading, that's for sure.
How you said the amount of podcasts, and I don't see it being a trend, because if you watch the initial So I've been listening to a lot of podcasts since maybe around 2009, 2010. That's when I started listening to. I started off listening to Jalen Jacoby. That's the ESPN. But they went ESPN then. And then Joe Rogan. And if you see the evolution of podcasts, it's evolving. Like vaping, you know what it is, But what I see with podcasts is that you see podcasts reflecting every step of life. There's ones, the Christian ones, and there's ones for music lovers, there's ones for movie lovers, there's ones for league, and there's ones about people, self-help. And I feel like, the more you listen to, if you listen to the first ones, it was more about just people talking.
Yeah.
But now they're more specified. And the beauty of podcasts is you do it on your own time.
Yeah.
If you listen to a radio station, if you're going to listen to Jordan and Nixon, and you're only going to catch them between 6 and 8 in the morning, unless you download the podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have your favorites, and that's what the beauty of podcast is knowledge or experiences or comedy on your time, not on listening to a radio or anything like that. And that's why I think I don't like that statement. I find that false, because if you can get in now and you build your listeners and all these guys, they'll stick with you to the end, because if the content's good, they'll keep coming back.
Yeah, exactly. That. Yeah. But it's different in terms of, like, when I said it was in terms of vaping, like vaping will go out the door one day.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like cigarettes, cigarettes are going out the door, but in terms of podcasting, I reckon it's just here to stay, and it's because of it's how people are going to use it down the line. Like, prime example, and I say it in my podcast quite a bit, is Ice, from YKTR. Like, he's just using it as a leverage to build his business and brand, and getting people to come in, and, I mean, at the end of the day, I think he makes the most money from selling his clothes and stuff. But people know about it because social media, his podcast, people are just listening and coming back over and over, and they obviously like it, and that's what that's what I meant to say, is that it, it's not like vaping, and it's going to stick around, so yeah.
And that sort of concept has been like prevalent in the United States, because you hear stories of people in mainstream media over there, ESPN, quitting their jobs and going to make a podcast, and so even actors too. I think the latest one you got Jason Bateman's one. Jason Bateman and who's the voice of Batman?
I know the one you're talking about.
They've just got a deal
I
for
don't know who Jason Bateman is.
Oh, okay.
$100 million deal from Amazon to do their own podcast. Oh, these are Hollywood actors.
Yeah.
So they got a $100 million deal from Amazon to start their own podcast.
Wow.
Just those three.
Wow.
And you heard the Joe Rogan one when Spotify bought him for 200 million.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, because his videos are now on Spotify.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard about YouTube, they're starting to censor a lot of things now, especially the talk about COVID.
Ah, okay.
Have you heard about that?
No.
Because
are you saying like when someone mentions COVID, they block it out?
No, if someone talks about the vaccines being fake or stuff like that. Like we had a podcast, and on this podcast I do like little previews of parts of the episode. So there's one particular episode we had with Jack, and we were talking about the vaccines and what we found about it, and we're talking about how we don't trust it because the facts are a bit messy, conspiracy theory stuff, and that got taken down.
Oh wow!
I put it up. It was there for like a month, and then it got taken down. I got a warning from YouTube, say, hey, one more, we're gonna cut your channel. It's going, fuck.
Really?
Yeah, and then later Joe Rogan had he was talking about that too, about a lot of university professors. They were talking about COVID in a way where they're talking about another provider, not Pfizer or the UK one, but another provider.
Okay.
They're talking about that on their podcast, and then they're getting shut down.
Wow, that buzzes me out. I haven't heard anything like that. Like I do know, like YouTube's real, strict on the type of content you can use and stuff, and obviously, copywriting and all that stuff, But yeah, man, I didn't know that.
Because are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I've just started Kicked Up one. Yeah, literally Back Yourself podcast and stuff. Yeah, we've only got like 3 videos up and stuff. So yeah, we're like fresh. I think we started it like 2 weeks ago or something like that. So yeah, but yeah, man, that shocks me. Like I didn't realize it's that strict.
Because they censored a lot of his earlier videos as well.
This is Joe Rogan, eh?
Joe Rogan as well, yeah. And,
okay.
and a lot of people and that's what Spotify were doing with some of his guests, that have been cancelled and that, they've actually taken those episodes out. So you can actually, if you went to go look for it, if you liked one of them, you'd go look for it and it wouldn't be there. And that's what these kind of corporations are doing. Because if you see the Instagram, if you go through people and even if they mention the word vaccine and all that, there's always that little note. Do you see that little note that they have on Instagram?
It shows up.
It's got the information.
On Facebook, it shows up too.
Yeah, and it goes, click on this link and we'll give you the details about COVID and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's them kind of saying, even if you're saying you're against it, they'll always have that little thing because they're trying to fact check you. They're going, no, this isn't true. This is what's actually happening. So
maybe there's a bit of like social media trying to sway you away. And what you're obviously your own opinion and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's
pretty crazy.
Shucks, that's out the gate. Like I just heard, I think or maybe I saw something today. One of my mates posted up and it was like, the government over in America or something is like now starting to develop these chips and stuff to actually put into people, because they can pick up COVID and stuff. I just saw that today and I was like, is this for real? I don't do too much research into it, so don't,
No, I saw the headline too, and I saw it on someone's Instagram, and because I thought it was quite, just scrolling through and went, you kind of like, they can't be true.
Yeah.
But see what's happened now. You've just said that, right? Now I'm gonna think.
Now this is
should I pull it up or should I edit that part of it out?
Yeah.
Because they might see it as they're saying that the vaccine's putting chips in people. So you can never know.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're lucky, like you prefaced it by saying, "Hey, I saw it, but I didn't actually click on it."
Yeah.
But I think it's the reason why it picked up is because you actually had the word vaccine and the algorithms and that would have just picked it up and they
you're right.
Look at Cameron A.
Because the original 3-hour video is still up there.
Yeah.
But the part I took out of it to make a preview out of it, that the COVID part, that got taken down.
Okay.
But the original is still in the full video that's up there. So
right.
They haven't taken that one down.
Man, that really buzzes me out, eh? But now I understand, like, that's probably why then Joe Rogan has gone to Spotify or something then, eh?
Yeah.
So he doesn't get, as a monetized, no, not monetized,
yeah, it was.
Monetized?
Yeah, because he was YouTube, he was putting all his stuff to YouTube. And that's where he was the bulk of his listeners. Because they didn't have to go to get Spotify or they didn't have to get, the podcast app. They could just go listen to it. And then YouTube started... they started muscling in on him and they said, you can't say this, look, we're going to pull this down. And then he'd had enough because, he was making them money because if you looked at his views, he was getting, every episode was getting millions and millions of views.
Yeah. One thing I do like about Joe Rogan is like, he's, I wouldn't say like the epitome, but like, he's someone that's like, he's probably the definition of hard work when it comes to podcasting. I know there are a lot of people out there who's been doing in the game for a long time, but someone like him, like he's been doing it for years, and so like I understand why he is so good and why he gets, these guests and why, he has signed a contract, worthy of that much, but, he's someone that a lot of people do look up to, but for me, good on him because he's worth every dollar you get because, like, look at the guests he's getting, man. And it's insane. I'm listening to one now with is it Yunmi Park?
Oh, yeah,
the
man,
Korean.
Yeah,
Korean,
the Korean.
North
Man, that thing is out there. See, this is definitely not getting on YouTube, bro. But man, that is out the gate, man.
I've downloaded it. I haven't listened to it.
Oh,
I listened to his last one with the... What's his name? The black guy. He's got the programs in that. Oh man, when you listen to his story, I remember sitting there and I was like nearly brought to tears.
Wow,
because he's a Christian man, and that's what I like about Joe Rogan, is that he is like, if you listen to him, he sounds more like an atheist, because he believes in aliens and that kind of stuff. Yeah, but he's good enough or strong enough to have people like that, even people that profess their faith and all that, that come on, and he lets them talk and he gives them, the avenue. He acts the way he is, and he lets them be themselves. And that's why he's so popular. Because anyone can listen to him.
I think the other secret is he's neutral.
Yeah, well, that's it.
And it feels like he's not trying hard to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he's just a genuine listener.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, and he wants to learn.
Yeah. Well, and exactly that. And I think you have to. You have to, like, no matter who your guest is, and like you're saying, their background or what they're into. Like, yeah, Joe Rogan's just a perfectionist when it comes to it, like, without even trying to be a perfectionist, he's just there to genuinely be in tune with the whole conversation, so I don't know what he's smoking, bro, but
No, the guy's name's Jason Wilson. So,
okay.
So if you've seen, he's done the video where one of the students, he's unable to break one of it went viral, so he's unable to break one of those wooden pieces that you have to.
The young,
yeah,
like he was
and
like 4 years old.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he gives him that talk.
Yes, that motivation.
Yeah, the motivational
okay.
talk, bro. When you listen to it, you're just, bro. There's times that I'm sitting there working. People are like, this guy's supposed to be working, but looks like he's about to break down,
Yeah,
and it's just really uplifting.
Yeah,
and that's what I like about him. Like, if you've got a good message and it's sincere, he'll put you on your show, and he'll, all men need to hear this story. That's where he's coming from.
Yeah,
so it's that kind of place, and that's what I.
100%.
Yeah.
I wonder if he pays his guests to come on or something.
I know he flies them in.
Oh, he flies
them in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
I know,
because as that wealthy, he can.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, I don't think he has to pay them because. Yeah. Once you go on that show, that's like you're talking about advertising. That's
go,
oh yeah, so tell them your website or tell them your page. I guarantee the next day you've got 30,000 likes or 30,000 new listeners.
Man, that you and me park, like I don't, excuse if I don't, I'm not pronouncing her name right, but man, I bet she's probably her book was massive when it came out. My partner had read her book, and she put me onto her, and then it wasn't until like I seen this podcast come out. I was like, oh, shucks, I better listen to the podcast. So I still haven't read the book, but before I had listened to the podcast, like my missus was telling me about it, and I was just like, in awe, like, I just can't believe, like, that's, like I had a feeling, that's going on around the world, but, to hear it from someone, that's a different story. But, I'd say like her book sales or her, people searching her up on Google was probably skyrocketed just because of that, so even though it probably was beforehand, but because of Joe Rogan's platform.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the power of the podcast.
Oh man. Yeah.
What was shocking to me about that episode was probably her story about what life is like in North Korea. I mean, you hear what's going on, but you don't really understand.
Yeah.
You don't
person view.
Yeah, you don't get to know the details. And she's just exposed what's going on, and it's shocking.
Well, why? Like sometimes it's like, why is it? Why is that? Like why don't we hear about it? Like we've heard of things, but we're not in detail like she describes. So yeah.
And the other thing that's shocking is that when she comes over to the States, she can recognize some of the same sort of ideologies she's grew up with,
experienced over there,
with the political correctness and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's when she talked about Columbia University, it's that part.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like
yeah, like what? Yeah. Yeah, so little things like that, it's just like, man, we're fortunate, man. We're fortunate, to be in our position, I guess, over here. And, some people over here, obviously go through struggles and stuff. I understand that. But, not that I've ever experienced things like that before, but, to be in, the situation I'm in, grateful for, grateful for it, eh?
Puts everything in perspective,
100%.
So, especially when you're, sitting in traffic or you're like, man.
Yeah.
And you think you got it tough.
Well, hey, when people see me bawling my eyes because, those stories, and then, I'm just like, no, I'm just listening to a podcast. Just listening to a podcast, like, don't worry, but, yeah, man, definitely puts it into perspective, eh? Yeah.
What was the moment that you thought to yourself, man, I love podcasts? Like, because I know for me, like what I heard when I was listening to podcasts for the first time, it's nothing you hear on the radio. Yeah, it's real talk.
Yeah,
and it was something new and something. Man, I can't believe they're talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is this a radio station? Whoa, nah, it's a podcast. What's a podcast? Oh, this them. This guy introduced me to podcasts, so that's how I started listening to it. But for you, how did you?
Yeah, man, for me, it was simply like my closest mates and friends and family like know me as someone that I want to get ahead in life. And for me, like that's financial education, financial success, whatever that looks like, and like I mentioned it to you before, like I want to start a business, and whatever type of business that may be. So for me, like I remember my first time listening to a podcast, I actually, I think it was New Zealand Everyday Investor. There's a guy named Darcy Ungaro, and he runs one obviously here. And he's like a Canadian dude or American dude. And I think he does live here now, been here for a long time. And so for me, like, I was simply just trying to learn how to upskill myself. That was it. Like for me, like a genuine conversation wasn't good enough for me. Like it was, I literally just listened to podcasts so I could, try and upskill my, where I wanted to go. And so I came across that dude, and literally I went through almost every episode, that he had, came up with, because he would get like like your solicitors on, like he'll get accountants on, he'll get real estate agents on, he'll get stock people on, he'll get people that were from the gold and silver background, on his podcast. So for me, it was like, man, I really want to understand what these things are, and I may not ever touch those things in my lifetime, but just to know about it and understand it, that's why I literally started listening to podcasts. But since then, I will have to say, like, I do like listening to general conversations now. It's funny how like I said, that pathway, or it starts to form you or shape you, because you start to open your ears up to, and eyes as well, I guess, to other things. And so general conversations, man, financial education podcast, that's me, sports podcast as well. But it was initially just wanting to upskill myself.
So what was the turning point, like, when you said, I'm gonna get me some gear?
Some expensive gear.
And I'm gonna make I'm gonna put myself out there and go online. What was that eureka moment?
For me, it was initially, obviously, it was a passion to listening to these podcasts, and then it actually ended up being I had this idea. I told my partner and my family, like, oh man, I'll be keen to start one. But it wasn't until my mate started one, and he runs shout out to Bradley Og. He actually started his own one called the Bogcast, Boggcast. So he took his last name and put the cast at the end. Nice. So it wasn't until he started it that's what I needed. Like, I needed to hear that and see that someone else that I knew had sparked up their own one, and that's all I needed. And that literally, I inquired, with them. I said, bro, can I come over, check out your gears, ask you a few questions, what it's like, why you're doing it, how you get these guests on and stuff like that. And it was literally from there that I said, oh yeah, I'd love to start, my own one. And that's when I literally went out, got the gears. My bank account didn't thank me for it, bro, but since then, got all the gears, man, and literally started the Back Yourself podcast, and from there, man, I haven't really looked back, so I only just want to keep seeing where it goes, keep developing it, and form these connections, networks that with other people and other podcasts as well. So
did you always vision it to be like an interview, like talk to someone, conversation?
Originally, yes. Like, originally it was always gonna, like, for me, I didn't realize I was gonna get my mates on so soon. Like, for me, it was originally just gonna be me sitting there with a guest, and my reasoning before about getting into podcasts, like, because I wanted to upskill myself. The exact same reason why I wanted to get my guest on, because I wanted to upskill myself. And there's that saying, if you want to get better at something, base yourself around people that are smarter than you. And so that was my reason. But it wasn't until I started sitting there and having these conversations and thinking ahead, planning ahead, I started to realize, like, these one-on-one conversations probably wouldn't last, like the duration of the podcast, in terms of longevity. And so it wasn't until then that I realized, oh man, what else can I do? And that's when I started thinking, I'm going to get my mates on, I'm going to get other segments started up. And just like you guys, man, you guys got so many segments, and it's sometimes hard to as I'm like, man, geez, these guys are way ahead of me, and so little things like that, I'm like, man, I want to do these segments as well, similar segments, or take some ideas as well, and put it into my own one. So
because when we created the West Network, like, we knew that we were into other things. We couldn't really have it all in one podcast. It's too many. And I don't want the listener to flick through, just scroll down. So we had the idea of making other podcasts, and get our friends down and host them. So that's why we have a rugby one, we've got a music one, we have a movie one. That's where the Whispers Network came about.
Right. How did you guys come up with your name? Is it literally because you're from out west, or?
It was an accident. Oh, that's because when I registered this podcast, Back on 135, that was in 2019, and I had the name for it, so it was easy to put the name in Back on 135. But then I asked for a company name.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, oh, okay, I don't know. West Productions, I don't know. I don't know. I just put down West Productions, right? And then when we decided to do the network a year later, that was during the level 4 lockdown where everyone was inside. I'm sure. I think I heard you saying that's when you sort of
started sparking out. Yeah, thinking about it. Yeah.
So we started the network then.
Yeah.
And I just decided to just use their company name, took the productions out and put network. Because it is a network, because there's going to be other podcasts.
Yeah. Oh man, because when I've been through your guys' link tree and I see all these other segments you guys have and you know podcasts, I'm like, man, these guys are really, you know, on top of, you know, their game and stuff, you know. And so how do you guys like keep that schedule going, you know? Because I mean, obviously I've heard I don't know who the sisters' names are that are on here. But the ladies, right? But the ladies, you know, they've started their one as well. But like, how do you guys, you know, do you do this Monday to Friday, or like, what do you guys
we have
do?
a calendar, and I just say to everyone, if you want to book, just book.
Okay.
And we'll just work around.
Yeah. But do you guys plan like a month ahead, 2 months ahead? Like, or do you just go week by week?
Oh, it's just week by week.
Oh man,
yeah.
Shucks.
So
yeah.
I think everybody has their own days.
Yeah.
To come, and if it's free, I just put it in.
Yeah.
And I just put it in. Yeah, I just put it in. But we also have the online software as well, so we can do podcasts online.
Oh, okay.
You know, if you can't make it here, we can do it online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and who's your, like, you know, when you're talking about the website was asking for your company name, like who's your guys' host? Like what do you guys upload?
We use Anchor.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is that the same?
Yeah. But it's funny because they didn't ask for my company name. Or maybe I just skipped. I don't know.
Or maybe it was just because when you registered, it was 2019. I think probably just to make it easier.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Because there would have been an influx, and apparently it was during that COVID lockdown throughout the world that everyone, you know, while they're inside their homes, stuck in their homes, that's when that big influx of podcasts happened, because they're like, oh, while I'm home, I've always had this idea. Well, you know, I'm gonna put myself out there and
that's true, because you saw them all pop up. Man, like I think when we first started, it was like a handful. I knew there was a few in Australia, but you know, just a handful over here wasn't many. And then after the lockdown, after that, you see a lot popping up. So, which is pretty good.
Like when I started acquiring my gears and stuff, like, you know, getting them in and stuff, at the beginning of this year, like they had sold out of all the mics and stuff.
Really?
Like, so I had to wait, like, so I would have started like at the beginning of the year.
True.
But because I couldn't get any of the mics and stuff, like I didn't want to, like jump on a podcast and like start with like a laptop sound, you know, I didn't want my mic to be coming through that, because that, you know, for me, like I wanted to go all out, you know, and like, you know, people might say like, well, why would you want to do that? Like spend so much money. But I'm like, man, you know, if like people were messaging me saying like, man, that sounds good, you know, crisp, you know, I'm like, well, that's because, you know, I obviously waited, you know, and stuff. So like when I first went and tried to get all my gears, man, like I had to wait like 3 months, I think, or 2.5 months or something. And then finally, could get going, I
appreciate that that thinking you have, because sound is, you know, you gotta have quality sound.
You listen to our first couple, like, because this guy, like, what do you eat it with again?
Because when we first started, all I had was a USB mic, and just plugged into the laptop and going straight there.
Yeah.
But I needed like 3 mics.
Okay.
But I had 3 ports in the laptop. But I did not know that once you put 3 in, that's less power going into the mics. Because there's 3. Because there's 3.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know that.
So it was like a bit fuzzy. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. But that's where these XLR cables and everything come in handy for your own podcast, man.
Well, then when we started having, so this guy went and bought out this soundboard and the other mics that we had before, these ones, and we couldn't get the sound right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of a lot of Darth Vader sounds, and I can see it, man. He's trying to edit it for D. So, you know, that from the heavy breathing, you know, all these just out of it sounds, bro.
Star Wars.
Yeah. It was like that. I was like, so you know, when I listened to it, man, is that the aircon or is that? And I'm like, no, that's actually me breathing like that, you know. And then so we went from there. And so it was funny, and I felt sorry for this guy because we'd record on a Monday, but I knew it wouldn't be coming out till maybe a week later because of the amount of editing this guy, you know, what I had to do. So,
but it's cool because of the part of the journey you're learning from it. So I remember in the beginning, you know, started off with that, and then, you know, I had to get XLR mics, and I got the condenser mics first because I didn't understand the difference between condenser mic and the dynamic mic.
Yeah.
So the first mics, the ones you got now, because I gave it to him to make a studio of his house.
My man.
Yeah, the condenser mics pick up everything.
Yeah, yeah. Dynamic straight through the mic, man.
Yeah, these ones are.
Yeah.
This is a big difference.
Yeah.
Now my editing is cut in half because of these dynamic mics.
Yeah. Well, it's fun, like I remember for me, when I go get like even like a watch or I mean I don't even, I've never bought a watch actually. I don't know why I said that. but like it could be oh man, what's it? Oh, like my podcast gears, like I always do research like before I go buy something. I think a lot of people do, but like I'll watch YouTube videos. I'll go like on Price Spy, like look where it's all available and whatnot. Just look for reviews and stuff of these products before I go out and buy it. And so like I reckon I started looking into this back in quarantine last year. And it wasn't until like I was fully comfortable, like, oh, yeah, this is what I need, this is what I want, and I knew exactly, so that by the time I came around to my podcast, I didn't have to worry about anything, But then when I said, I had to, I knew one-on-one chats wasn't, gonna last or sustain the podcast. At that time, I only had 2 mics and 2 stands, and 2 XLR cables. But then I realized if I'm gonna get more people on, I'm gonna need more stuff. And so then I went and got more stuff, but it was, obviously I do my research before, I get into all of that, eh?
Have you always been that kind of person, like thorough like that?
Yeah, funny, yeah. Like I've always been like that, like pretty organized, even though I was late, but generally, like I'm really organized when it comes to those little things like that. Like even with my my sports, my footy, rugby league. Like I'm pretty organized. Like I like being at training. I like getting gym sessions in. I like going to, just making sure that so that everything runs smoothly, so that I don't panic buttons. I don't want to be on that side of the that side of the fence and stuff. So I've always been like that. Like being a person that's goal orientated. I kind of know where I want to head in my life and stuff. But at the same time, like I'm really adaptable. Like I'm really easily adaptable. Like if someone says to me, "Oh, Mary, like, can we do this in an hour?" Oh, yeah, sweet, all good. Like so, I find like I have a good balance, but I've always been pretty organized. Yeah, and I think that's been because of mum and dad. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had that when I was younger.
Yeah. I just don't, man. Honestly, it was honestly I think mum being, because my mum was a school teacher, my dad was worked with the Leos and stuff, police and stuff, and so. I had the strictest of my dad, and he's a Samoan in the family, and then I have my mum who's Maoli Baalangi, and mum was adopted out of a Maoli family into a Baalangi family, full blown Baalangi. So she grew up in that. So, but her being a school teacher and everything, and coming from that background, and my dad being from this background, having a bit of both, I think allowed me to kind of be that balanced person, So yeah.
Just touching on that league career. Oh, yeah. We were just talking before we started recording.
Henry
about Henry Nicholas. He does make little comments like that.
The goat.
Yeah. How do you find the balance? Because we were just talking about how you asked us, man, do you do this? Do you have a roster or do you pre-plan? How do you do it? Because I've seen your guests already, and you're starting to pick it up. How do you balance it all out with, like how you said you love training? Yeah. And you've also got games on Saturday. Yeah. And you're trying to balance that with your, you got a partner, and we're talking about church just up the road. Yeah. Man, where do you find the time, man?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm quite organized, and so like I've actually just gone to the habit now of when it comes to the podcasting side of things, planning a month ahead. So like we have this we've just started this 2-week, like 1 week. It's like my week, and then the next week it'll be the Bro Moses' week, so that we don't, have to go into the studio every single week, and so, for me, man, it's definitely, training Tuesday, Thursday with rugby league in the evening, and then playing on the Saturday. I got work during the day, like I'm a school teacher as well, and so, obviously got that generally from a Monday to Friday. So for me, it's definitely like, planning that month ahead, or at least 2 weeks ahead. Definitely will help me, maintain my schedule and stuff. So I'm not even the busiest person in the world, but like just having that calendar like you guys, it's just so useful, and so like I know I'm going into a studio on a Wednesday, possibly a Friday, and then Sunday we've just started, this new series with Locker Room Chats, and but that's always after church, and so it's definitely just making sure that I am available on nights and stuff. But I just know that Tuesday, Thursday is just working league, and then the rest of the days, if I can, I'll fit it in. But I always make sure I have time for my friends and family, and obviously myself as well. So it's definitely planning ahead, content calendar, and obviously just my own personal schedule outside of the podcast.
Time is something that I struggle to find now.
Yeah,
with podcast and work and stuff like that. But
yeah,
even like getting content, because I gotta watch all the games.
Yeah,
I gotta watch some movies. Gotta read the news. That kind of stuff, and it takes time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta prepare for something. You gotta do research. So that's some more time taken. Plus the editing. Plus the doing the recordings in there. But
it is some hard yakkery,
is,
especially when like we're doing this out of love, just being passion. I don't know if you guys are sponsored or or getting paid for it, but out of love and passion, man, and just enjoying it. Like that's where I find that's the reason why I am doing it. And if I've said it on my podcast, if down the line those things do come along where you do get paid, you get sponsors and stuff like that, that stuff will come. Like you don't need to worry about it and stuff. But it's about maintaining who you have as an audience, right then and there. And for me, that's my goal at the moment with the podcast. But I understand, how do we stay on top of everything, and also have fun outside of it. But like I said, I make sure I do have time for myself and friends and family.
Have you noticed with guests? Because when we first started, so we'd get our friends in, and they'll be like, no, I don't want to come on, man. I don't know what to say. And then as soon as this guy presses record, you're like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? Who is this person? Because about 5 minutes ago, they were nervous, pacing around the room.
They can't get them
and
off
then
now.
Once the spotlight comes on, man, they're doing the little dance.
No, I've noticed that, man. I have noticed that. Like, I've gone for more not so much my friends, but people who are kind of known, in society or here in New Zealand especially, and generally they're okay. I'll give them a debrief and stuff like debrief, like a briefing, like is this all good? We could chat about this. If they say no, they say no. But most of the time, like they're confident already and stuff. But if they are like nervous or whatnot, like saying, I don't know if I have anything to say, when that spotlight or when we do push record straight away, like, man, they will talk,
Yeah.
But the one thing is people love talking about themselves, and like if you can bring up something that they're into, or that that you have interest in, man, they'll just click straight away, and they'll talk for literally an hours. I think my longest podcast ever was 3 hours, man, and that wasn't just because the bro, it was actually a guy named Francis Ledger. I don't know if you know him. And man, we just we didn't realize how fast time flew, man, but we just spoke about everything, but it was a really enjoyable and valuable chat, and a lot of people got back to us about that, and they're like, man, this is awesome. And so it is funny,
Those 3 hour chats we've had a few, and you like you said, like you don't realize till later, you check the watch and it's 11 o'clock. They're like, actually, the funniest, that was my wife, and she's wondering, if I'm coming home. So we kind of you look at the time and you realize that that's the thing about these conversations, is that once you get going and it's like we kind of compare it to like just boys sitting around playing cards, or just sitting around having a chat. In
contrast to that, our last guest, we had Tony on, but he got back to me and said, "Oh man, I can only do an hour."
Was that the Manu Samoa, bro?
No,
that's Lama Tony.
Oh, okay.
That was Lama. It was Tony. He was last, but
is the digital
discipline.
Okay.
So he was like saying, "Oh man, I just got an hour because I gotta get home." And oh man, and I was thinking, okay, this guy, man, you should get this guy on yours because
he'll be awesome.
He's got lots and lots of things to talk about.
Wow.
His knowledge on social media, the negative sides of things. I noticed that episode, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So you only spoke for an hour though? So you
hour and 15.
Yeah, we had to go, but man, I had so much things to say.
Yeah.
And then there was a part in the podcast that I was telling a story, and I realized in the middle of my story, oh, no, we haven't got time for this. So I sort of like cut it short.
Yeah.
And I think it didn't make sense. Because I was thinking, oh, wow, we only got 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I just took 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, but he was the type of guy that, man, he's got a story to tell, and it's amazing. It's inspirational too.
That is something that not concerned me, but like, you know, I've thought about as well. Is like, you know, how long does my guests, you know, have and stuff. I've been fortunate though that none of my guests have said, oh, I've got this time frame, you know, and but when I do get told, you know, that day where I do get told, oh, this is all I got, you know, I do have to focus on that person and not really waffle off, you know, into other things and stuff. Because man, yeah, when you've just mentioned, you know, you got 1,000 things you know, questions you have in mind for the bro. You want him to answer all 1,000 questions, you know, especially when it's someone so valuable as well, you know. And funny you guys bring that up, because I've noticed, like, you know, when you look on your analytics and stuff, you know, you can see some of it. Like, I haven't really looked into it too much, but what I have noticed, you know, with mine is that the ones that I really enjoy, like the business or you know, the ones that will help upskill yourself and stuff that I've done on my podcast, they're actually the ones that haven't been listened to the most. It's the ones that, you know, we're just chatting and having fun, you know, and stuff like that. But it's just funny how people think sometimes, you know, like, you know, not everyone you know, is on the same wavelength or, you know, that same mindset that you're on. And so for me, like, I've listened to my business ones, like, literally so many times, like, just my own, that's the only time I do listen to my podcast is when I'm, you know, having those chats. But then my other ones, I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, just carry on, because, you know, it doesn't provide other than laughter and enjoyment, you know, memories with the person or the group of people I'm on with, you know. But the business ones, you know, I'm going to get 1,000 things out of that thing, you know. And like, yeah, I'm the same thing. I've always thought about my favorite one, I think, or one of my favorite ones was this one with a digital marketing expert called Olivia McIver. And she was awesome, man. Came up with so many, you know, suggestions, ideas, you know, and stuff like that. And I listened to that maybe, you know, literally probably 10 times already, you know, like, and that's not really that much, but, you know, it's a lot, you know, when you're listening to it. I think we spoke for like an hour and a half or something like that, you know, and gone back, and every single time I've picked up on something that I didn't realize we spoke about, you know. And yeah, so, you know, it's just funny how people don't, you know, you know, kind of go back and listen to those things.
I think that's got to do with the specificness of that
topic,
episode.
That's it.
Topic,
And yeah,
I don't know, but if you look at the followers you have and you get an idea of what they're into,
yeah,
maybe they're not into business.
Yeah. Well, exactly that. You know,
so you gotta push that episode to the people that are into business.
Yeah,
that wanna, you know, they're passionate.
100%,
just like you are. You know?
Yeah, and exactly that. Because like, you know, my other ones that I've had, people have just gone back and be like, bro, we love this, you know, we want to see more of this, and I'm like, oh, sweet, you know. And so that definitely helps out when people actually, you know, let you know and stuff. But you know, what's cool about it is that it's there anyway. You know, like, regardless of what you're doing, it's there anyway for people that are interested in it and stuff like that. So, and you know, like, you know, if the podcast is around for forever, you know, it's there forever. So
I listened to the episode with Olivia.
Yeah, Olivia McIver.
I listened to that one, and I was laughing because when you guys talked about how send the video of your message rather than a text.
Oh yeah.
Because I laughed because when I messaged to get a guest on this podcast, they messaged back with a video. And I was like
really?
shocked. I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh, really? So it worked, eh?
I was like, "Whoa! Why would you? Why would you send a video?" I was sort of like, "Oh shit!" You know?
Well, you know, like, she even mentioned in it, like, you know, she sent a lot, you know, and she's never got any response back, just the scene, you know. And I'm the same. Like, I've sent, you know, a few out as well, and just never had a response and stuff. But the one you do get back, it is a shock, eh? You're just like, oh, what is this? yeah. And sometimes you forget who you sent it to, you know, and it's not until you realize.
I think, you know, that sounds awesome, because it kind of shows that they've taken, instead of, you know, you just see, when you see someone typing, like, you know, either the lean or you know, they're trying to give you an answer that, you know, that you want to hear, but to actually see someone go, they took the time out of their day to actually send me, you know, and I think that's more personal. And I'd rather, you know, if I got that back, I'd be, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, they've said, you know, they've made an effort, a conscious effort to actually call me back in.
100%. Like, I'm the exact same. You know, if I was to, you know, get something like that, I would be like, wow, this person's really gone out of their way just to, you know, send me a message, you know. But at the same time, like I'm also, you know, with people who send me personal messages, like Cam sent me the first message, you know, trying to get me on here the first time, and I remember like, bro, this guy went out of his way, sent me these messages, you know, and not even knowing if he's going to get a response. So when I finally came around to it, like it took me a while because I didn't realize, because you know on Instagram, you know, where it's like it's a hidden message.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to realize it was a freaking hidden button. And so when I clicked it, saw the bro, and I was like, oh man, shucks, this guy really went out of his way to, you know, have me up. And so I'm all like, I try to like get back to everyone, you know, and stuff. So because to me that's them, like you're saying. It's them taking their time out of their day, even if it's like a minute of their day. That's a minute of their day, you know. And like for me, I want to get back to those people. So yeah, I'm not even the most popular guy out there, but you know, like when you can, I will.
It's funny because we just had Tony on our podcast talking about the dangers of social media, and then I'm listening to the marketing side of social media, which is probably not what he's saying is bad.
It was about balance. I think, you know, what I got from was, you know, what he was trying to teach was balance, discipline, and just education-wise, like letting the parents know that how easy it is for a kid. If you're going to type in Dora the Explorer, all it takes is one odd, because there's so many bad people out there that, you know, evil, like just that know that they can do stuff. All the kids have to do is type a letter wrong, and then you're taken to a site that, you know, and it was just about bringing awareness, because you know, because he goes to schools, you know, he's taking his digital discipline to just teach parents and kids like the pitfalls of social media, you know.
Yeah.
So because it's so dangerous out there. I mean, you being a teacher, you must deal with the backlash of that kind of stuff. Man.
Yeah, I think a lot of teachers, you know, will understand like you know, that students are, you know, seeing things that are, you know, obviously not, you know, something that they shouldn't necessarily be watching, you know, and but man, that's the danger of having, you know, these platforms around, or you know, these social media you know, digital devices around and stuff, you know, is that, you know, it's literally everything's reachable by that point, you know, and you know, whether or not the parents are strict on their child, you know, I think if Cam has kids, I don't know if, you know, you have kids, but you know, if I said to you, do you you know, check in what your child's, you know, looking at, I guarantee you they'll say yes, but are they really, you know, like there's always, you know, kids are smart, man, you know, like kids are so smart, like that's where you learn the most, you know, is when you're a kid, supposedly, you know, and yeah, man, you know, it's not hard to, you know, get around, you know, some of the stuff that we think is, you know, avoidable, but really, you know, a lot of these students are getting into, so you know, definitely have to be careful, man, definitely got to be careful.
You know, your students.
Yeah.
Have you? So I'm sorry to ask you, but how long have you been teaching us?
Right, I've been teaching for 3 years now.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people ask me, you know, why did I get into it so young? Because I'm 23. I'm 23, and you know, I got into it when I was 20, and I was teaching, I think like 15, 16, 17-year-olds. You know, like when I first came out, you know, and like these kids, like, I shouldn't even be saying kids because I'm still a kid at that point, you know. But like, you know, I was so fortunate. Like, I went into university, straight out of high school. Just wanted to go get something behind me, something that I thought I'd be good at. So I went into studied a bachelor's of primary degree, and but I was very fortunate. I actually landed a job at a high school, in doing PE and health and stuff. And you know, I put that down to me, you know, doing some rugby coaching and stuff, and at the school, Hobsonville Point, and the teacher over there, teachers and the principal knew of me and found out that I was doing this degree, and because of that, that's how I got into this. And so I've been teaching that age group, that age bracket, and been teaching for 3 years.
Have you seen a change in the students with social media? Because it's, you know, TikTok, Instagram, and all that, it's just taken off. You know, it's just And have you seen a change in the students becoming more self-conscious, or you know, feeling the effects of bullying online, cyberbullying?
Being at Hobsonville Point, it's a modern school. And when I say modern, I mean modern, like it's got the gears. Like, you know, these kids are, you know, got laptops, you know, most of them, you know, they got laptops, they got phones, you know, they got, you know, a lot of them have the latest stuff, you know, and, you know, they're fortunate to, they're privileged to as well, you know, but I have noticed, you know, obviously them having that, you know, these devices and stuff, like, man, you know, because it is so, you know, these, you know, platforms are accessible. They are, you know, into these stuff, you know, and so, man, I've seen, you know, like kids getting up in the middle of the class trying to do a TikTok, and I'm like, bro, what the hell are you doing, you know? Sometimes we're having to jump in there with them, you know, because, you know, it's just a part of, you know, that culture and that vibe, you know, and you never want to be the, you know, the dickhead teacher, you know, you always want to be the, you know, the cool teacher, you know, that they always talk about, you know, and so, for me, man, like, yeah, seeing them on the Instagrams, TikToks, Snapchats, you know, these kids, you know, I don't know if you know on Snapchat, but they keep their streaks and stuff alive, and like that pretty much just means, you know, you got to send the TikToks to this person, like me and Cam, like every day, you know, and like some of these kids like have, I think like, oh man, one of my students had like a 500-day streak. Wow. And it was with someone, so it was with one person, you know, and they just sent a photo, literally. And I was like, man, you guys seriously are so into this, eh? It's like, yeah, but then they have all their games on there and stuff as well and stuff, so oh man, it definitely provides a lot of conversation and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, I don't know if there's been much of a change because it's so normal.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's so normal.
It's just a part of life.
It's part of it. Yeah. And I think, you know, most schools, you know, it's a part of it now. And, you know, some schools are now trying to play catch up, you know, because they wanna be around that technology scene and stuff like that. So I think the school I'm at, my school, it's nothing has really changed. But I think at other schools, you know, you will start to see, you know, teachers and schools trying to incorporate it into their learning, eh? Mm.
So Hobsonville Point, it's a modern school. So is the classrooms open?
Open as.
So there's no
doors.
No doors in between.
Yeah, no bell. Like we don't even have a bell there. Like, yeah.
How are you finding that? Because I know MOE came.
Buzzy.
How are you finding that? Especially the way you teach, because MOE came with that concept. They copied it overseas. Yeah. Because overseas was doing this open classrooms. There's no walls in between, and you know, you just. It's sort of like to help the kids like merge between each other. Or
yeah, to be quite honest with, like, to be fair with you, personally, I don't know what like they were trying to go for, but I do know like you know, being in a modern school and stuff, like, you know, that other schools are going to be looking at you and seeing if it works or not. So for us, I know Albany Senior, who was not too far from us, I think maybe like nothing more than a 10-minute drive. You know, when you're on the motorway, or whatever. We kind of we have pretty much the exact same philosophy, you know, in terms of teaching and stuff like that. Being a modern school, you know, but both of us, you know, having the open classrooms and stuff, you know, you can definitely hear, you know, a classroom who's not too far away and stuff like that. But yeah, like, you know, it's I don't know how to explain it. Like it's so modern, man. Like it. Yeah, everything's open. Like all these kids are learning on devices. Like no notebooks. Like the kids probably would probably look at you like if you said to them, pull out a notebook, you know, to you know, do your math on. Yep. They don't even know. I mean, they know, you know, what a notebook is, but like, you know, in terms of education, they're like, oh no, we don't use notebooks. Yeah, so it's so modern, man. Yeah, and like I said, no bells, nothing. Yeah, so like it's just all. Yeah.
So how do you keep track of?
We just know the times, man. Yeah, it's on us, but everyone just knows the time, you know, and like we do 80-minute blocks. Like we do four blocks a day, and each of them are 80 minutes and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see. It's real cool to see. Like you know, someone who's never experienced that before. Like we have schools from overseas, like from America, you know, who come to our school just to see what it's like, because they're obviously trying to do something, you know, back at their school over there, elementary schools or high schools, you know, they're trying to do something similar to us. So, you know, to have these schools coming in from overseas, you know, yeah, they are pretty shocked when they come and see it.
Is it working?
You know,
like, have you seen other kids? Yeah. Are the pass rates up there? Are they? What's the feedback from them?
Yeah, no, man. You know, the pass rates are good. You know, they are good. We do it a little different too. Like NCA level 1. You know, I don't know if you guys are too familiar with it, but level 1, level 2, and level 3. You know, they generally say you know you need to get your level 2s and your level 3s to get into university normally. With our level 1s, at most schools, I think it's like 80 credits to go to level 2. You know, you need to get 80 credits in level 1 to go to level 2. For us, we need 20 credits. and then they can go into level 2. And the reason behind it is because we get them to start level 2s in their level 1 year, if that makes sense. So they can start working towards it. So we want to get them a head start. So that way, when they hit level 2, they've not had 1 year to work on level 2s. They've had 2 years. They've had level 1s in year 11 and year 12 to work on on it and stuff like that, and stuff. So in terms of pass rates, like it's up there. Like we're doing really well, and the support system there is really good. It's actually one of the schools that it's the most I've ever seen, like teacher aid supports and stuff there. We do have a variety of kids there as well. We've even got a special needs unit in the school that actually, have a classroom themselves, as well. But like to see the support there for our students, it's awesome to see, and like people would want to gravitate towards that school as well. But when we're talking about is it working or not, like, I think it's with any school. Some schools work and some schools don't, and I get that with my students too. Like, so it's working for some of the students, and some of the students it doesn't work. And quite frankly, like, being honest, like they, their parents realize that, recognize that, and they move them on to another school, and vice versa. Like if it's not working at another school and they like our school and they come here and they do really well, then that's the benefit as well. So yeah, it works and it doesn't work for some. That's quite simply how I can answer that.
Has the results been documented? Like, is MOE doing analysis on the open school and versus the the normal schools?
Yeah, I think like they always what do they call them? I think it's Euro report. Is it a Euro report? It happens like every 5 years or every 3 years or something at every school. And this is how they kind of go around and assess the school, see what it's like, see how the teaching is. They ask the students, what's the teaching like here and stuff like that. And they do this at every single school. But then at the end of every year as well, the school has to, make sure that they're, meeting, their obligation as well in terms of, handing in, getting the results up online and stuff like that. And so, yeah, like at our school, man, everything is fairly good. I'm not going to say it's the best because I don't think any school's the best. But as long as we're meeting our obligations and we're there for our students, that to me is the most important thing along a student's pathway. At least if we can give them 5-6 years of quality education, then I'm 100% for that school. So yeah.
What about teacher-wise? I mean, are there a lot of Pacific Island teachers at your school? Because you said like it's a brand new system, brand new school that you're trained. How are you and the other Pacific Island teachers finding it? Because you would have been, you've been brought up in the old school, the classroom, waiting on the bell and all that. How are you and the rest of the rest of the PI teachers finding that?
Yeah, man, the school's done really well in terms of recruiting PI teachers and stuff, which is real cool to see. And more or less, recruiting, PI teachers, because we are starting to get, I wouldn't say an influx of PI students, but, we are starting to, get PI students, at the school, because it's actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the area, Hobsonville Point, but it's predominantly a Balangi, Sanger, community. And so, of course, those schools in that area are predominantly Balangi, Sanger, if anything else, not really anything else, And so I think, our school's only half capacity, or just over half capacity. Like, I think we can fit about 1,100 or so students, maybe 1,100, maybe 1,200. We only have about 700 students there, but out of 700 students, we only have about, I'll say maybe 45, 50 kids maybe that are PI. That's a real small amount, and so, but, the school's done a really good job in recruiting PI teachers to help support these kids, and try and, get them to recognize their culture, and vibe with their culture. Because we have some students there that don't recognize their, their Pacifica side. And the only reason being is because, they haven't been brought up in that environment anyway. And so we're just trying to do, our job and trying to just help them, facilitate with them, connect with them, build that rapport with them. And I must say, some of the teachers there, there's a couple of teachers I should mention is Pauline, Lingy, and
I know.
Yeah, Lingy. Yeah. So she's there.
Yeah.
Talia 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's actually she's in charge of Southside Stories and Westside Stories. I don't know if you guys have seen that around.
Yeah.
So she's there at that school. She's done an amazing job, and Sage over there as well have done an exceptional job helping actually one of our DPs over there die, and they've done such hard work to try and put on these events, funnels for the kids and take them out, on trips and stuff, as well. And there are other teachers there as well. We got Sally over there as well, the principal Murray over there, who helps out as well where they can. We got a couple of teachers, Reagan. There's quite a few. Like I haven't named all the teachers, Tommy as well, but there's a whole lot there, that are trying to help, at least facilitate, I guess the minority there, which is, PIs and stuff. We just want them to feel, welcome amongst, their own peers as well, and just recognize that they are of PI descent, regardless of whether or not they've been brought up in it, and so that's what they have been trying to do, along, at that school way.
I know MOE is always looking for male male teachers, because you're a minority, and being PI you're a minority even more.
Yeah.
Is there a lot more males coming through?
Yeah. Oh man.
No.
Like when I studied, I studied primary. Like I think I was in a cohort of maybe 200 people, maybe a bit more. I don't know. But like out of 200, there were only like I could probably only name 10 males or something like that. Obviously, it's a rounded figure, but I could only name them about that much. But and it's just been cool because like I've influenced like one of my best mate. I just call him my cousin. Like that's how close we are. Like he's got into teaching now because of I think possibly myself. Who he's seen it, and he's like, man, I'm going to do it now. As well, and so he's doing it as well. And even at our school, we have quite a few male teachers, and I've actually helped out at another school, Rosemary College. That's where I used to go as well. I've helped out there as well, and they've got a good amount of staff who are male as well. So, males are definitely there, but there's just not a whole lot of them, and obviously it comes down to career choices at the end of the day, eh? So yeah.
One thing that was cool when I was listening to your podcast was when you said that, I think it was the episode with Moses.
Oh yeah.
And you guys were talking about the podcast moving forward, and you were saying, and he was like, I think he was talking about what kind of things each of you guys will deliver on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned education.
And,
because you're in that industry. It's like, I think that's perfect. Like you must have a lot of ideas for education to come on. I mean, for you to express that.
Like
on the podcast and stuff. I mean, you're doing it already with getting those guests. Educating people. So,
like it's for me, like I don't know if it's the education you're thinking about, like in terms of like me coming on and teaching people about certain things. Like for me, it was more the business education side of stuff. I'm not a, I don't know everything about it and stuff. But for me, it was I was gonna just continue to bring on guests, and possibly do some courses and around it. And start up a business, because they say if you don't start something, you're never really ever going to learn, and once you're in the middle of it, that's when you will learn. So you can go to business schools all you want and stuff, but at the end of the day, you're never really going to be in the line of fire until you do something yourself. And obviously it comes with risk and reward, obviously the risk being, you're probably throwing in some money, and some cash at the end of the day, and also, it may fail, but the reward is you're still going to walk away with learning things and stuff, along that path. And so for me, I want to bring on education stuff. I think Moses, like, he's a funny dude, man, and he wants to bring on funny people, and just a different vibe, Yeah. And even Matt, he was suggesting different stuff as well. So I think on our podcast, like, heading down, I guess, the pathway of the Back Yourself podcast, like we just want to obviously educate people and obviously just make people feel, I guess somewhat, happy or, enjoyment, through listening through our platform and stuff, So yeah, I want to bring education. Moses wants to bring a bit of laughter, which is a good, awesome balance. And Matt as well, he kind of gives us a sense of direction and not just that, but also belief in ourselves as well, So just a bit of reassurance along the way. Yeah.
I think what's good with you being a teacher,
yeah,
it's those skills,
yeah,
that can move into other things,
yeah,
other careers like administration or even management, because it is if you think about it, being a teacher and what you have to do like in between in the holidays to organize the classrooms, organize your classes and that, and organizing the kids, that's like a top management kind of those same skills, huh?
Similar,
which you can take to into the corporate world later on in life if that's your plan. Or but I think it's a good pathway, a good place to develop those skills.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
To go, even further.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. Like, a lot of business people do come from an educational background, and a lot of people, come from just a completely different background altogether, But love it or hate it, regardless of obviously what I'm gonna do down the line, I will take these skills that I've learned through teaching and education and obviously implement them, where I can, where I think it's, I guess good, and obviously I never want to do anything that's bad, along that journey, but, where I can, I will implement, the skills I've learned in my teaching career and stuff. But I'll tell you what, what's taught me a lot about, but like my teaching, like what's helped me out with my teaching a lot is just sports itself, like being a part of sports teams and stuff. Like, you're always in team environments. Like that, I'd say that the closest thing to teaching you could do is either coaching or playing yourself, because you're always in that environment anyway, and like your teammates are either going to hate you or they're going to love you, and obviously you want them to love you, but sometimes you'll check a teammate, you put them in their place, like make sure you're doing this, or you're going to uplift them and say, man, you're the man at this, or or obviously you're the woman at this, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to think, because sorry, but you know what I mean, eh? So that's what's helped me out with my teaching a lot. It's not trying to be the most knowledgeable teacher, but it's trying to be the most influential in a way, And so the sporting background, the sporting context of things, man, it's helps so much when it comes to teaching, eh? So yeah, grateful for that.
I mean, I remember when I was young, they said if you play sport, you're gonna upgrade your communication skills, because that's what it is, huh? It's communication and teamwork and all that stuff.
Yeah, unless you play golf or something.
That's why it's funny, because when you see these people that excel at the individual sports, there's a bit of ego with them. There's that, because you've only got to answer to yourself, really, because you're the only person performing out there. So that's why I guess there's when you see the real characters, and they're usually the ones that play the individual sports in that. You see all the crazy guys out there, they're usually
man, honestly, like there are some crazy people out there, but man, the sports side of stuff, it's just like, regardless if you play an individual sport or a team sport, you're definitely going to be, you're always going to keep yourself accountable. Well, most people are, most sports people are, at least, and like, individual sports are crazy, because it's dependent on them all together, even if they have a coach or, what's it called, a management crew that help them out, or a training crew that help them out. At the end of the day, if you're in an independent sport, it comes down to how you perform, because your coach can teach you everything they can, but you're the one that's either on a tennis court, or you're the one that's swinging that golf club, and you're the one that's going to have the most say in the way, or in the outcome, eh? But when it comes to a team sport, there are other people that you can depend on, or people that depend on you, to obviously come out with a better outcome, eh? Along the way. So
that's why while I was watching the Olympics,
you
could see the difference. You see the Lisa Carringtons and that, and then and you think, man, the sacrifice and that being like, when you're going through that last thing. If you've got a team sport, you can kind of fall back and go, oh, this person's going to help me get through. But
well, that's actually a good example, bro. Because like Lisa Carrington, she screwed that. I mean, she didn't screw. Like she won every single competition, individual competition. But they come to that, was it the 4K or something? Where she rode, or is it kayak? What was it?
Kayaking,
Kayaking, yeah. with her teammates, it was a different story, and you can't just put it down to just any one of them. But it's obviously, you're having to adjust to your teammates, and so it's funny, because she smashes, in the individual one, man, and she's a beast, bro. She is a beast. But then comes to that, it's a different story, different story, man.
I think that like the greatest example of like teamwork was when we won that was the eight men rowing, when we got the gold in that, because who was the guy? Not Murray, the other guy.
The other one.
Yeah.
The experienced one.
Yeah. And he went, and he had only just joined that crew.
Yes.
But apparently, like, he made that difference because, the experience, he's already a gold medal winner. So he knows what winning's like. And he added, he came in late.
Yeah.
And then that team to go into gold was, you could feel like, I remember some of the interviews were like, he was the kind of like the money maker. He was the guy that came in and he changed the whole attitude of that team. And then it just shows what teamwork is. It takes one. Yeah.
Well, another quality example is like Tom Brady, bro. Like everyone knows, bro. That dude is my favorite quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
Like everyone, like a lot of people hate him, but they hate him for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
They hate him because he's a winner.
Yeah.
But when he's a loser, if he ever lost back in the day, no one hated him. Maybe his coaches or whatnot, because
Bill Belichick.
But like at the end of the day, like he is the most prime example of someone who can go from one successful franchise, go to another franchise after 21 years being at a single franchise. He was at New England Patriots, go to the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay, and win it the first year he's there. Like he is a prime example of someone that can influence an entire team, and not just like a team of 13 on the field, like rugby league, or 15 on the field, but like a team of 53, 58, that need to be there. Obviously that they're not on the field at the same time, but I think just that whole squad, like for him to just go from one franchise to another and win it the first year he's there, that's something you never hear of.
The thing about the awesome thing about Tom Brady's story is that he was, if you go watch all his before he got drafted, and you go to the combine and he's running like a 55 40 yard dash, and he's got that he's got that photo where he's holding up his
lanky,
and he's wearing the shirt that's too big and the shorts look too big, and even by face value you go, how are they going to pick this guy? And he's the last guy to get picked, in the last round. It's the last round.
I think it was 299,
299, and he's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's the greatest winner of all time, pretty much.
He's a cleaner.
He's a cleaner. That too,
have you read that book?
No.
Tom Grover's book, Relentless?
No.
Man, you should read it, man.
Hey.
That's a book you should read.
Hey, okay, man. I love books, bro. I love books. Yeah. So, bro, is it called... What was it called? Relentless.
It's called Relentless.
Okay.
By Tim Grover. So Tim Grover's he was a trainer for Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that funny, bro? You see them all having similar personalities.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They all got similar personalities, man. Like that, like
tunnel vision,
Tunnel vision, bro. But funny, not tunnel vision when it comes to a game, but like they know where they want to go. Tom Brady says it all the time, bro. Laser focus. Like he says it all the time.
So Tom Brady's in those guys' realm. Like they're in that space where there's nothing in front of them but winning.
Yeah.
And that includes your family.
Yeah.
And any other thing.
Yeah.
That comes second.
Yeah.
Winning comes first.
Well, that's the thing that like when I say Tom Brady's my favorite quarterback of all time, like he is my favorite quarterback of all time. Like my mates know that too. Like everyone knows it. My family know. Like I got his jersey at home. He doesn't even play for my favorite team. Like I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers till I die. Black and yellow, man. Like, but like what was really weird about his story was he was successful at his university, Michigan. And for him to still not get picked at a higher ranking, especially over some of the quarterbacks that he was, in that draft with, like it's like where were these teams, franchises? What were they really looking at? Because he came from a successful university, in Michigan. Like he had won championships with them, and so many times he was in the he wasn't really starting, but then they would be down by quite a bit, and then he would jump in and then he would bring them back and win. You know what I mean? Like, he had that winning mindset even at that age, you know, like at a young age. Transferred into the NFL, and next thing you know, I think, what is he now? 7 Super Bowls, 7 Super Bowls now.
So it's amazing he didn't translate to his draft pick.
Yeah, exactly that. That's why I'm like, why was he drafted at 299? Why not 150? I mean, I knew he was never going to be one. I mean, I was barely born. when you know what I mean. Like I was a baby when he was literally drafted. But for me to kind of know his story and stuff now, and kind of be like, why was he drafted so late when he was successful?
I think another thing it does point out is that a lot of emphasis is put on the combines.
Yeah.
So it's just individual
yeah.
physical traits.
Yeah.
But what if they didn't really recognize was his mental traits, that, like you said, that laser focus. If you'd gone off this running, if you'd gone off the jump, I always love watching those things. And if you're going on, you know how you draw up a person, like, he's got to run like this, run this fast, jump this high, be this strong. But if the top couple of inches isn't there, all that is just Maimo game.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah.
And he's a perfect example of, maybe physically he's average, but because of all of that's up there, all the study that he puts in. Because I think I was on ESPN lately. I think it might have been First Take, and they were talking about he's already training. He's already started training. He might have a week off, but then after that, he's back at Tampa Bay already, going over the plays and all that.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. That's the difference between your average Joes and your greats.
And you hear the stories about what Kobe did when they lose the game. He'll be paying the janitor from the board to 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like in the stadium.
Yeah.
And you just be practicing the shots.
Yeah,
like,
man. Mamba mindset.
Yeah, man. Well, that it reminds me of that video where Jeremy Lin and Nick Young, and they're all celebrating because they're just they after that losing streak, and he walks past him and he gives him the dirtiest look, man. And I'm like, that's the Mamba mentality. Yeah, like you're celebrating just breaking. Just breaking the losing streak.
Yeah.
Look at the way he's jumping. Must grab some champagne or something, tip it over each other.
It's like they won the NBA final. Game 7, man. Like, oh man, I know. Like, and like we're saying, what separates the bit, your average Joes from the greats, is literally those little things. And a lot of people don't realize that. But man, you love to see it. And that's why LeBron is hated, because he is so serious. But you're always going to, get the best out of him, regardless, of where he's at, and he's obviously, he hasn't had as much success as some of the others, but man, he's had some unreal success. Some would argue he's the best to ever play the game, but then, you got your Michael Jordans and, people before Michael Jordan, who have been around and, have been there and done their thing, as well. But, man, these guys put in the time, work, the effort, week in, week out, day in, day out, and like they literally probably sleep, they sleep it, and they wake up, just wanting to do it every single day. And that's why I think Tom Brady, he wants to play till he's 45 or something like that, bro.
I saw that.
Man, that dude's crazy,
Well, I think if he's, and I remember, no, it was PTI, and there was that, and they were talking about, is he able, because he talked about playing until he was 45. Do you think he can win another one? And they were like, I think he could. And they said, I think he can win another 2 or 3.
Oh, shucks. Okay.
Because of who he is.
Yeah.
And I was like, that would be if he gets that mark, he'll be on. He's at Bill Russell winning numbers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More rings than fingers.
Yeah.
And that would truly put him down. Well, I think
he's
he already is.
Yeah.
But he'll be untouchable after that.
And I think, like, arguably across any sport, almost across it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't compare sports, obviously, but you can compare winnings, and like for him to do what he does, especially on that type of, scale, where there's so much money involved as well, because money, over there in those sports, it matters, it does matter. But, for him to just do what he's doing, man, especially on a yearly basis, like I think when he was at the Patriots, they made was it the NFC or the AFC playoffs or whatever division he was in. They made the playoffs every single year he was there, every single year. And the year he leaves, they didn't make it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it goes to show how one person can seriously change the game, you know. But you got to put that down to, you know, when we're talking about training, and he, you know, maybe takes a week or two, maybe a month off, I don't know, but gets straight back into it. Like, his training regime is crazy. You know, and like the way he looks after his body, he talks about the electrolytes, he talks about, you know, the way he rolls himself out, you know, he gets, you know, deep tissue massages and stuff, making sure that, you know, his body's, you know, literally elastic, you know, so that when he does get hit, you know, it doesn't hurt as much and stuff, you know. So he goes through all these things, you know. Yeah, you know, like he's so far ahead of so many people, yet other people can do the same thing, but they're not gonna, you know,
you're not going to do the same sacrifices.
Nah,
that's you know, him and LeBron have this, like you were saying, because there's that stat where LeBron spends over 1.5 million a year on his body. It's something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And then look at him. He's what, 37, 38 now?
Yeah, something like that,
and he's still playing the 28 year old LeBron. You know, he's still dunking that way. And you know, when you see other people declining, it's just he's been at LeBron level for.
Yeah, since he's come out.
Yeah, that's
you know?
right. Yeah,
because he's been in it since he's 18, I think, in the NBA. Yeah. Like, I think wasn't he the last one or something? I don't know. I mean, you know, since being 18, you know, up until now, you know, he's obviously 20 years. You know, he's been in the league, still killing it.
Yeah,
still killing it. The only thing I've seen change is his hairline, bro.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I've seen change.
Goes forward, back, and then forward again. Yeah,
but that's the only thing, eh? Like, other than that, man, that, you know, these guys, you know, are the epitome of greatness, you know. And like, if I had to compare that to someone over in rugby league, you know, or rugby, I'd have to choose Cameron Smith. Yeah. You know, like that dude, you know, man, he is the epitome of what's going on here?
The GOAT. That's New South Wales, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That's New South Wales. That's why you see he let out a.
Oh, really?
When you said that, I heard something like that. Eh? You know what I'm saying? That's what I had to tell. Yeah, you're right, bro. You're right.
Queenslanders still die.
Yeah, bro. But bro, that's a perfect example. Eh?
Yeah, man. Like that dude, like himself. You know, funny, because he's probably the closest thing to Tom Brady in terms of, like, when you look at him, he doesn't look. He doesn't look it.
You heard it here first.
Yeah,
you heard it here.
But, bro, he doesn't look it. You know, like but that dude barely missed the game. Plays 80 minutes every week. Plays probably 30 to 35. I wouldn't say 35 games, but, you know, probably 30 games a year. You know, including Queensland, including international. You know, like. And he would do that year in, year out. Like, he never missed a season. I don't think. And I don't think he ever had a major injury, you know. But, man, the way that dude, you know, held himself, you know, for years, and to win and be so successful at a franchise, you know, for years, man, you know. And it just goes to show, you know, being at Queensland, you know, winning an 8-year streak and, you know, obviously losing a year, maybe 2 years or 3 years, and then coming back and, you know, winning again and whatnot, you know. Bro, that dude is... He's just another level. I'm yet to read his book, because apparently his book is amazing. You know, apparently his book is his autobiography. Is something else, man. So yeah, that dude is something. You know,
I think you'll find the same thing when all these guys we talked about, Tom Brady, Cameron Smith, Michael Jordan. It's the same thing, eh? They've got the time. Like, in one day, they probably got the smallest time of their families, or the smallest time doing something other than basketball or football or training. I heard that talk Kobe Bryant gave when he talked about his training, how the standard thing is like NBA players, they train twice a day in between games, but he trains 4 times a day, and he talks about how he makes it work. So he goes, okay, I'll wake up at 4, I go training, come back 6, have breakfast, go back training at 9, come back at 11 o'clock, go back training at 5. So he does it 4 times a day. So, and he's saying I automatically train twice as much as anybody in my whole team. But, you know, people can't do that because of the other stuff. You know?
Commitments, eh?
Yeah, other commitments.
Yeah. And I think, again, that comes down to, you know, scheduling your days, eh? You know, when we're talking about it, how do we plan ourselves? Those guys, you know, definitely, they know how to do it, you know? They have the people around them, they have themselves, you know, and they got, you know, amazing families that support them, you know, in the way they do their things as well. You know, you can't go by without having supportive friends, family, you know, around you. Because, you know, if you don't have that, you know, you see it, you know, like you definitely see it in the way a person plays. You know, you can see, like, if someone's struggling, you know, man, they're definitely going to struggling, you know, in the way they play as well, eh? But yeah, like you're saying, man, like, for him to do that, and what is it, 84 games in a year, plus playoffs or whatever, or 82 games, you know, plus playoffs, man, you know, jeepers, it's a long season. And they play like every second day or something. They do, or sometimes back-to-back days.
They're hopping on a plane, jumping off, sleeping overnight. They're getting up, going to training.
Those guys do it harder than, obviously us over here, because it's just the Warriors in the rugby league. Obviously, we have our Super Aotearoa over here, and the Australian one, and then we just had in Tasman, with the one with the rugby, with the Australian New Zealand versus each other, Trans-Tasman maybe, Trans-Tasman. We only go between our two countries at this stage, Obviously, the Warriors are based over there now for the last couple of years, but over there, they're not traveling across countries, but it's fairly the same distance, and longer, right. And they're just traveling day in, day out, that body clock must be screwed, because of it.
But then you realize, when you see that, and then you go, well, that's why they get paid the millions, eh? Mm-hmm. So that's, and I think that's the other thing, when we talked about the amount of training that Kobe and these guys did, their family understood that, because what they were doing was, you've got to have an understanding family, because if the family turns around, look, you've got to focus on me, then they could have turned around, look, well, if I focus all my time on you, I'm missing out on, I'm going to be like Schroeder and and turn down 84 million over 4 years, and now I'm going to get 5.9 for one season at Boston. So, I saw that today, man, and my heart sunk, because I thought, this poor dude, man.
That's the one at the Lakers, eh?
Yeah,
and he's gone over there now.
Schroeder.
Yeah.
He turned down because he thought he was worth more. He turned down 84 million over 4 years. And, up until the playoffs, people were, you know what, he's right, he's hot right now. And then when he first at the playoffs, man, that's what you saw. That's the stock market crash there, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's 2008 right there, man.
Right there. Just riding high, man. And then,
that is COVID right there.
Yeah. And then when I saw he signed for 5.9 million, I thought, far out, man. Someone's getting fired, and this guy...
his agent.
His agent's getting fired. Whoever told him, no, you're worth, more than that.
Yeah.
I feel for him, and the onus goes back on him now. So he must have, he's got a chip on his shoulder, because, I hope he comes out with a Russell Westbrook, triple double.
Yeah.
Well,
he's there for only 1 year, eh?
Yeah,
a 1 year deal.
And he done that on purpose too, apparently.
Okay.
I was reading, because he was going to go and show his worth again, and he was going to, try and get picked up again. So.
Okay. Yeah. But he's still young though, that dude.
So,
Yeah. So he has time to prove himself still, and it's funny, because a lot of people will say, it's not about money, it's not about the kupe and stuff, but at that level, to a certain extent, it is about it.
That's right.
It is, because at the end of the day, those same franchises, those same clubs that complain about you, they're the same reason, that you get, traded, They're the same reason why your contract won't get renewed, because, they don't see something new, or they see something else in someone else, and you're just a caretaker for your jersey, regardless of what you're doing, and, again, love it or hate it, but it's the truth, and the people at the end of the day that get affected is the player, the player's family, and then the fans, Those are the only three things that really ever get affected, and that's why it frustrates me when I see people, complain, about someone, oh, he's just going for the money and stuff like that. I understand though, why he is, because at the end of the day, when his time's done, he doesn't want to look back and be like, oh, was I worth more? I recently read Mark Hunt's book, and to see the way that bro was screwed over, not just by, not because of, I'm not going to say it, but but he was screwed over so bad.
I've read the book too.
Yeah,
Born
to Fight.
Yeah,
Born to Fight.
No, it's not on Audible, but it's pretty. You can read it. You could read it in one session.
Oh man,
I read it on a Sunday afternoon.
I was glued to it, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't put the book down, and to see the way that also was screwed over.
Yeah.
From other people's wrongdoings, it's just so sad to see. And for me, after reading that book, I was like, if I was ever in that situation where, I was, able to, be put in that situation of, contracts and negotiations and stuff, at the end of the day, I'm going to look after myself and my family,
That's the one, bro.
Yeah, but, a lot of people will look at you and be like, oh, this dude's just greedy. All he is money. But at the end of the day, you got to feed your family.
Livelihood, eh?
It's your livelihood, man.
Yeah.
And you only got that for maybe 5-10 years, anyway, you're an NFL player. An average, NFL player's career is 2 years, or a year or something, that's the average, You know, so to say that, you know, you're not going to go and chase the money, I think that's totally wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And so I understand why people make, you know, these decisions to move clubs and stuff, you know. But, you know, obviously if you're at a club and they are paying you well, stay there, man, you know, and look after yourself, you know, because you are getting good money either way, you know. But yeah, you know, for me, yeah, I reckon I understand why these players do it, you know, and they move clubs, you know, and they do this, you know. It's because they only got so long in their career, you know, and a lot of time there's no incentives once they finish.
Yeah.
That's why you hear so many of these players, you know, they just blow their money straight away, you know, because they have no understanding of how to use it, you know, to buy assets and stuff like that. You know, they just spend it all on these liabilities, you know, and then, you know, hello Rondo, you know, they're bankrupt, you know, and they file for these bankruptcies or whatever, you know, it's called and stuff, hey, you know. So I totally understand. I totally understand where they're going with it, eh?
I know Adi Severe, he's been talking about like
he's a good advocate, eh, bro?
Player welfare.
Yeah, he's a good advocate, bro. And I knew where you're going with that. Yeah.
Because there's an article in the Herald about him talking about players should have the power.
Yeah.
He brought up, I know TJ Perenara brought it up too, how player salary should be transparent because it's not.
Yeah.
But it should be. So players can understand where they're at.
Yeah.
In terms of where they are in the team and how much they have to improve, or so they can negotiate as well.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that they don't have in rugby union, which I thought was interesting.
Again, you know, like that comes down to, you know, the players aren't knowledgeable then, you know, as well. You know, as much as you know, people will get frustrated at it, you know, as much as, you know, players themselves will get frustrated at, oh, you know, I think I'm worth more. You know, do they go and ask? You know, do they put themselves out there to say, nah, I'm worth this? I mean, obviously it didn't work out in the Bros, you know, Lakers, you know, you know, from his, you know, on his side of things.
That's
you
a
know,
lesson.
That's a lesson. You know?
That's a case study for some people, man.
You know, like, you know, how do you screw up an $85 million contract?
Yeah.
You go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, you know, little things like that, you know, like, you know, I totally see where Artie's coming from, me.
Because he said,
you know,
the player is the business, not the
player's the business.
The player is the business.
Yeah. Because without the player, you're not going to get business. You know, and I mean, it's kind of like it's so obvious, but yet so many people don't, you know, still don't recognize that. You know, but yeah, you know, like my hope is that a lot of these players that come into, you know, the professional scene, they understand how money works, how contracts work, because that's why effectively this is the reason why players go and get agents, is because they don't understand it and they want the agent to deal with it, you know, and you know, obviously the agent gets a cut and all that stuff as well, you know, and you know, obviously the agent as well, you know, has connections and networks to these teams as well, you know. That's why it's a little bit easier going down that pathway. So I totally understand. Now I'm hearing players, you know, because they are knowledgeable, you know, of these things, they've been in the game for a while, you know, they're starting to let the agents go and stuff, you know, because
that's good.
Yeah, you know,
because when they heard about TJ Perenara like putting out there that he's going to go to the league, and then everyone's like, whoa,
yeah, sparking up, eh?
Here's some money, here's some cash. They're gonna come back, or we'll show you this. He sort of like created this thing around his business being himself. Oh.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
So now he automatically knows how much he's worth.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this. You know who to me is the most smartest rugby player right now is Beauden Barrett. You know, Beauden Barrett, because not only did he sign a contract with the Blues, but the bro just went over to Japan, secured the bag, came back here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not even that much. You know, when you compare it to those American sports. You know, like, but for him to go over there, earn the cash, come back here. He was successful over there too, by the way. You know, like he didn't just go over there for a holiday. Like they play second, you know, but then he comes back here and he's in the All Blacks team again, and now he's getting more. You know, like that dude, regardless of people hate him or not, you know, again, he's ahead of the game, like in terms of how he's going about the way he's doing things, because I think he does understand, you know, his personal brand, you know. And again, Adi Savia, TJ Perenara. I mean, TJ Perenara didn't have a contract, you know, while he was over in Japan. You know, and I think that's why he could do that, you know, is because, you know, he didn't have a contract there, you know, and so obviously it kicked up a ruckus, and you know, so that dude too, you know, has probably secured the bag too, you know, a little bit better. I don't know.
And that's awesome because, you know, the cool thing that it also highlights is that if you know your worth, you can negotiate your worth. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what he did. He knew that he was. Unlike Dennis Schroeder, he knew that his importance to the All Blacks, because he was at us when he, you know, 2 years ago he was our best player Bowden Barrett.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, he could,
Right.
he could. Him and Brady Retallick, they done
Yep.
exactly the same thing.
Yep.
They went, you know what? I'm this good to this team. I'm going to sign 2 years ahead. You say, I'll be back. You're going to put me back in the All Blacks. I'm just going to go over. I'm just going to go over, jump over the fence, see what my next door neighbor's having for lunch or dinner, and then I'm going to come back. And you know, my mate's going to be ready when I come back too. And that's what they did. And no one, and we haven't even batted an eyelid. You know.
Yeah.
You know, Bowden and Brady Retallick, they didn't play any NPC. They didn't play any Super Rugby.
None.
You know, they just came back and did and
Straight in.
Straight in.
Yeah.
And they done that because they knew.
Yeah. They knew their worth.
They knew their worth.
Yeah.
And us as a public, you know, well, if you listen to Talkback, how did they come back and do this and all that? Well, you know why? Because they knew that they were there that good.
Yeah.
And for them, they actually backed themselves, because they go, I'm this good. You know.
Yeah, I like what you did there.
Yeah.
You probably also have to look for who's behind you too. If there's plenty of guys that can take over your spot, then you probably can't have that leverage down. You know, if you're a prop, because we got heaps of props.
I'm a bit weary of that because
You think?
Because if they had two guys just come up and they were on there and they were on fire, Brady and that wouldn't make it back because you know even the coaches would say, "How can we bring this guy back? He's unproven. He's been running against the Japanese competition. Everyone talks about them not being as physical." So it's going to take them a while to get up to pace. You know, if we had guys good enough, but those guys went, you know what, I'm going to be good enough to come back. You know.
Yeah. Well, and you know, like they're going over there again, not to have a holiday.
Yeah.
They're going over there to play. You know, and that, I mean, you know, a lot of people were complaining about how much, you know, of a, you know, was that competition, you know, is it quality? You know, but at the end of the day, it's still rugby.
Yeah.
And there's money involved in that. So you are going to get quality coaching. You are going to get, you know, players who are playing at an international level. Like Japan are, you know, now aren't any, you know, fly-by-nighters. You know, like they're beating South Africa. You know, they're playing at these, you know, World Cups, and they're making, you know, I think the last World Cup they made quarterfinals, semi-finals, or something like that. You know, so those guys, they're not fly-by-nighters, man. Like you know, and these players aren't going over there to have holidays. They're going there to play, you know, and then come back, you know, and obviously, you know, I mean, I think effectively when you're going over there, possibly the contact isn't as hard as it is over here. So they're actually probably looking after their body more than anything, you know, knowing that they're going to come back here, play international, which is at, you know, the peak, you know, of you know, rugby in New Zealand and in Australia, you know, in most countries, you know, and they know they're going to get battered around. Yet they're probably going to feel the freshest on the field, you know. I mean, it helps coming off the bench too, but you know, like at the end of the day, you know, they're not, you know. They know, man. They, like, you know, we're going back to, you know, they know their worth. They totally do. I mean, again, TJ Penanata, he knew his worth too. He went over there, and he's in the All Blacks now. You know, you know. So and again, people were complaining about it, but you know, would you give up experience, or would you bring in someone that's not as experienced? And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, I think that's what costed us in the end in that last World Cup, you know, when we lost to England in that semi-A, is it came down to experience, you know, and you saw it. You saw it out on the field, and you know, I'm a huge fan of Bowden Barrett, man. A huge fan of him. Like he knows how much of a skillful player he is as well, you know. So, you know, each their own.
I heard because when TJ first came back, and so they interviewed him, and the question was, well, do you think you should be coming back, you know, straight into the All Blacks? And he said, and me and Henry, we talked about that. He said, did you watch TJ last night? And he said, I know where I am. I know how good I can be, and I'm gonna be there. And I said to him, do you think that's a bit cocky? He goes, nah, that's confidence. Like, he knows how good he is. We all know how good he is.
Yep.
He might not be here just yet, but he will get there. So so he's backing himself that much. You go, okay, well, he's done it before. You know, he's been in the system. I can't doubt him. And if if he can be like this, oh, I'm a bit weary, you know. And they'll be like, can't put this guy on the bench, man. You know, you can't bring him straight back if he's not backing himself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and at the same time, like, you know, people are complaining, but what they don't realize is the people that will take their jerseys are like only a couple years away from taking their jerseys, because these fellas aren't going to be around forever anyway.
Yeah.
They're already in their 30s, aren't they? You know, like, you know, so we already know that these guys are, you know, going to move on anyway. Those fellas will probably finish their careers in France or, you know, England, or, you know, for all I know, you know, go over to America, because, you know, that's sparked up over there now. You know, they got their own professional, you know.
Andy Ellis over there in New York.
Yeah, you know, like Matt Ghetto's over there, you know. Oh, man, there's a few. You know, Martin Nunu was there as well, you know, like, man, you know, so they know what they're doing, you know, and you know, what's cool you know, in a lot of New Zealand fans or Australian fans, whoever you support, you know, the people that are playing now, you know, their jerseys are going to get filled regardless, you know, and so we're in safe hands anyway, you know, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you know, the end result of this, you know, is it Blitters? Oh man, it's a tongue twister.
Blitters.
Yeah, that thing. But you know what I mean, eh?
Yeah.
You know? And then the World Cup as well, you know, because that's obviously, you know, the true test.
Do you guys think that with all these business dealings we're seeing now, we talked about Brady Witalik and Brendan Barrett, it dampens the All Black jersey?
Nah, 100% no.
Nah, man.
I don't, because
if they look at money rather than the jersey.
Our business, you know, the New Zealand, the NZRFU, the New Zealand business, it can't sustain itself. You know, we don't have enough money coming, so you've got to accommodate these guys. You know, you've got to, because you want to still keep them here. So if you've got to me, it's like you're going on a part-time job, or you're going to a place where just for a month, or you know, just for a couple of weeks, you're just going to make a bit more money to supplement the, you know, your income from the NZRFU.
Yeah.
And if that's what they have to do to keep these guys here, then, you know, by all means, because I want the strongest All Black team when it comes to the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that, yeah. And I don't think it dampens anything, you know, like, if anything, again, it's upskilling people, you know, and knowing their worth and knowing, you know, exactly how much, you know, that they should be, you know, getting, because they deserve to, you know. Again, when we're talking about sacrifices and you know, the amount of, you know, effort and work and training schedules that these guys, you know, put into their, you know, their schedules, you know, they deserve every bit of, you know, reward that they get, you know, from you know, their trainings and obviously game days and stuff, you know, because, you know, what's funny is a lot of people, especially these franchises, they'll abuse the player, you know, use and abuse, you know, like you know, as harsh as that is, you know, that's a pretty harsh way of saying it, but
it's true.
Yeah,
They'll just they'll cut you like that if they don't.
Exactly.
You know?
Like, you know, a prime example again, you have to go look at the NFL, you know, like they have their training camps and stuff, you know, regardless if you've been in the league for, you know, 4, 5 years, 6 years, you know, if you're at a training camp and you're not doing well, but the person behind you who's only had, you know, come straight out of university and he's doing better, they'll cut that experienced person, you know, especially because it's also going to save their money too, you know, you tear up your contract, you know, so, you know, you know, these teams will definitely, you know, they're going to start changing the way they do certain things, I reckon, you know, and they're going to start not only just, I think teams are going to start, you know, allowing these players to leverage their brand as well, you know, and actually they're going to be, you know, not abusing, but like when a player is really famous, they're going to use that player's, you know, it's like an influencer, you know, a social media influencer, you know, like businesses will send this influencer, you know, something to do with their business, and this, you know, the influencer will post about it, and then this business, you know, products will sell out. You know, they say Kim Kardashian, the minute she posts something up about a business, that business sells out within like literally a minute, you know, and so it's like little things like that, you know, so that I think, you know, that will happen.
You know, a good example of that is, so I know you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Oh, are you? My guy.
A good example of that is is Juju. What he's doing on his social media.
Yeah.
And his what's that game they play? The Fortnite. He's on the Fortnite and he does the social media and he's created that kind of thing. What you're saying? He's created a brand for himself. He's an influencer as well as a player.
I think that's what like rugby league players are trying to do as well, man.
Yeah.
You know, because they've seen these fellas do it, and because they're so famous, obviously on a bigger scale, you know, because they obviously have a bigger country, and you know the sports is so much bigger over there and stuff. You know, we're seeing it over here now, and we're trying to play catch up. You know, and we're trying to catch up fast. You know, and like you see, you know, Beezer from, you know, New South Wales. You know, it was a drove away. You know, like
Okay.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
No way.
Wow.
Let's talk about the power grid.
Did we use all the power here? Or?
Nah, yeah. Far out.
Wow.
True.
That's the first time that's happened.
Well, it's safe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hope so. I don't know. Palka hasn't happened before.
Shucks.
Shit.
Do you reckon that's the whole street?
Oh, I want to bring my brother. Oh man.
Oh, it looks like it.
What's the time?
There's no lights on.
8 o'clock.
Wow, that was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Already?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
There's no lights on. That is the
Oh, actually, you can actually get the audio off the video as well, if you need it, eh?
Yeah, the audio's not too good on video. I think it's okay. Oh,
I mean, we were just warming up to.
Yeah. We're talking about 3-hour chats and almost.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man.
man, I was gonna ask you the biggest question ever.
What was that?
You might have to save it for another. You might have to come in for another one.
Yeah.
Like a quicker hour one, eh? Just to catch up.
Oh man, I'm all good, bro. I'm all good, eh?
Still,
Man, no, what you
we
said
might
last
know.
was sparked up another question for me. I was, man, because I know, because you're into American sports, eh?
Yeah, I was just more or less NFL.
Yeah.
NFL, yeah.
But man, I'm into their sports culture.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
have you been over there?
I've been there, but I haven't been there in the time like where the
NFL
NFL was on.
Oh.
I was there when the NBA was on. Yeah.
Man, because
I could have seen. I was there when Kobe was in his last season.
Oh, hey, the farewell tour.
Yeah, and honestly, I had the chance to go to a game, but my family over there in the States, they said, "Oh, we'll go to the next one." And of course, when they said that, they were, oh, here we go.
Oh.
Yeah, and of course, when they said that, missed out on it. Yeah.
Yeah, because man, I went to Hawaii. I was in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, bro.
NFL season was on.
Yeah.
And bro, the passion of, the atmosphere, all the bars,
Amazing, eh?
man, all the supporters.
I went over there when the Polynesian Bowl was on.
Oh yeah.
And it's the junior kids, the high school.
Yeah.
They're the next up and coming ones. And man, same thing, eh? They're just so passionate, bro.
Bro, and I was thinking, fuck, why don't we have this in New Zealand? That's what I was thinking all the time.
Yeah. I know. It's funny how you're like, why is it? Like, I think a good example is First 15 culture here. Like First 15 culture.
It's probably the closest.
That's the closest, man. You know?
But it stops there.
It stops there, you know. But then even there, it's more like they just turn up, to the thing. But there's no like, what do they do before? Tailgating. None of that stuff, But man, that would be awesome if there was tailgating here, eh? Because that would be.
If like
crazy.
everyone went down from Auckland, down to Waikato, or we drive up from Wellington, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's only a few people that would do that, eh?
I think we might be a bit too sensible. You know what I mean? Because
exactly.
New Zealand fans, we're not as fanatical as I mean, I'm an All Black fan. I'm a Waikato Chiefs fan, but I'm not I'm gonna get paint my face every day. I'm gonna talk about it every chance I get.
It comes in their culture too. You notice us, they're patriotic as.
Yes.
Over here, like we're patriotic, but we're not patriotic.
Yeah.
Like,
we're not singing our national anthem every day in the morning.
I
think we're only there when we win. Because if you look in America, like they're there when they win or lose, and they're still packed up.
You sound like those are Blues fans.
See the Blues don't get packed out.
Bro. I'm sorry.
But that's exactly my point. The Blues don't get packed out anyways. So. No, I'm serious. We don't have that because we had this conversation before. We had Yash on our podcast. We had Yash on our podcast, and we talked about the difference in cultures, sports culture between because. I know Yash, he's been over there, so he's experienced.
We talked to Yash and Adam about it.
Adam, he's been over there, he's experienced. I've experienced it, man. But man, I want that experience here, back home. I want to go to a bar.
How do you do it though?
I want to go to a bar and everybody's watching the man.
Oh, Kingslanders like that on an All Black game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to go out there.
Oh yeah.
But see, even with the All Blacks fans, like when we're talking about fans, like this is why I love rugby league, man, is because. When I go to a rugby game, the crowd is just so like, bro, like
real tame,
mate. Exactly. You know what I mean, eh? Like it's like you could hear literally a freaking fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you go to a league game, man, they are ruthless. Like they will literally, if you're doing something bad like that. I've never been to a game where players have abused someone and loved them at the same time. You know what I mean? Like they are ruthless. And that's why I love rugby league, because there's no holding back. And it comes back to history too. Rugby's formerly from a very affluent community. In terms of where it was developed from, whereas, the rugby league,
it's a working man's
it's a working
game,
class game, it's your miners, and those fellas,
right.
it's the rough guys, and that's why I think it's like that, so it comes from two different backgrounds, so
if you look at the NRL, if you look at all the clubs over there, the Bulldogs, and West Tigers and all that, their base, their fan base is fanatical, because they represent just that little bit of area, and everyone, everything of role. Like, who were we talking about? I think it was Josh as well, and we're talking about how that whole community revolves around that club room or the local leagues club, So, and where the footy ground is, everyone. If you're a West Tigers fan, you're down at Leichhardt Oval. If you're at a Manly fan, you're down at Lottoland.
Yeah, Lottoland.
In the Bulldogs as well. You're down at Belmore.
Yeah.
And that's why when you see league fans over there, man, there's like near Fuswangers at Sydney Football Stadium, or you go over there and everyone's every shop's got a flag, and we don't even have that here. And each place has their own team as well. That's the sad thing.
Is it that is it what Israel Adesanya was talking about, like tall poppy syndrome?
Tall poppy syndrome. We talked about that too.
I think it's a little bit of that too.
It is.
We're very like, I love it that we're humble. But it's now getting to the point, I think a lot of people are starting to recognize we're too humble. And we need
to celebrate our
winners. We need to exactly. We need to celebrate a little bit more. Because man, and a prime example of that is, a lot of examples tonight, but a prime example of that is the Olympics, like the best Olympics we've done in, every Olympics we go to, we improve, and like this time round, we've done so well again, and like we should get around that, we should be, like, is it a welcoming party home and stuff? I don't know if I'll turn up to the airport, but like whatever it is, and we congratulate them and whatnot, but I like to see other things as well. May that be a parade of some sort. Like just something.
Yeah. When the Blues won the Aotearoa, the Trans-Tasman, we should have had the parade for them.
You're right.
Exactly, man.
Absolutely, man.
In America, how they have the those parades. And they have
when they win a Super Bowl.
They have the
something
speech.
Like
They talk to everyone.
Well, did you see when Milwaukee won the NBA when they won the title, and I saw the overhead, the camera, and it went, and it was like over 100,000 people, something crazy like that. You know.
Well, when they were playing their games at what's it called, the Suns.
At
Phoenix. When they were playing their games there, I remember like on the what's it called, the TV, it would show Milwaukee, and their fan base, the players, the fans outside the stadium or in the stadium at Milwaukee, and they said something like, "This is majority of the population." Like in Milwaukee here at the game. I had a conversation with them. I was like, man, imagine the sick excuse they would have used at work. Oh, I got a cold, but no, really. You know what I mean? But their bosses were there with them.
That's it. They're probably like, hey, we're taking, we're closing for tomorrow. Go and let's go support our team. You're right. Why don't we? We've always. It's funny, we ask this all the time. Especially when we talk about American sports. Because, we have our own NBA teams. We have our own NFL teams that we support. They're 100,000 miles away, but we still, we still have an attachment to them. And we don't even support the team that we have here right next to us. The same fervor,
At the same time, it's American sports culture, so they don't have any inkling of any tall poppy syndrome whatsoever. Because that's the attitude. They're always like, I'm the best, I'm the man. And it's accepted.
What's something, I had a good conversation with a colleague of mine recently, and she actually went over there and did a university, or what is it? University college, over there, for football, soccer, and she was only there for a year, and she decided to come back, but talking about it, it's kind of made me realize, I think, the reason why we're kind of like this is because apparently over there they don't have any clubs to go play for after. So at university, if you don't make university, that's your career done. and once you finish university, if you don't make it professional, you're done. So there's no clubs over there. So I feel like it's a little bit of like, when your dad is trying to live through you or your mum, whatever, that saying. It's almost like that, like you're trying to live through the player, in a way. And I think
far out.
That's part of the.
Man.
Man, that's mean.
That's
man,
that's
I haven't heard that before, but that makes
so
sense.
much sense.
Wow.
Yeah. But I kind of just thought about it now, and I was like, that might be the reason why they are so passionate. And obviously, it's already based in their culture. I get it. But in terms of what else do they do when they finish university or high school and they don't make it? And apparently, there's not really anything, other than pick up basketball at the local basketball courts or something. You know what I mean? Like, other than those little things. But over here, in Australia, we can go play for a club.
Yeah.
I'm at Mount Abbott Lions. Or I used to be at Northgate Tigers. I didn't have a problem. Like, I knew where I was going to go regardless. So I could continue playing my sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, over there apparently they have nothing.
And you know what?
So
because you always see these guys and they go, after they finish college ball and that, they're either going to go to Turkey, G League, and all that, or they always laugh at you. Oh, you're going to go play out down at the local Y. Hey,
Yeah.
And that's, that's where they end up.
Yeah.
They're either going to, whatever degree if they finished college, that's going to be their life. You either go this way, you either make it professionally, or you're just going to go.
Yeah. Well, what is it? Is it like 1% makes it?
Yeah.
1% makes it out of that entire people. Like I look at, I saw this unreal figure, like over, I don't know, millions of young lads play American football over there. They get into it. By the time they hit, what's it called, university, it comes down to the 100,000s. And then by the time it's, in the NFL, it's only like 100. So it's a massive drop. So you think of all these players that don't make it. There isn't really nothing for them to do.
And the other thing is, there's no avenue for them to be exposed as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like us, like you were saying, you can go. Say you don't make it in first 15, and there's a chance that you might go play for your local club.
Yeah,
Waitemata, Massey Rugby Club.
Yeah, so
and you get picked up. NPC. So
you still got a chance,
that little level.
Yeah,
and then someone, if you gradually make that way up, and then if you make NPC, you're gonna get exposure to Super Rugby play. You might make a squad. Because if you look at all those guys that are playing, I think it's called Bunnings Warehouse.
Yes.
Bunnings NPC.
Or Ferris
right.
Palmers.
See, all of these guys that you're seeing, and you hear a lot of those stories. This guy was just playing down at his local club here, and he was picked up, and he's been signed by the, by the Waikato Chiefs. He's been signed by the Blues for next year.
Yeah.
See, they've got avenues, or they end up getting exposure, and then they go play over in Europe.
Well, another example is the Tongan rugby team and the Manu Samoa team. They just played. Like without the club footy scene, they wouldn't even be able to field a team. Do you know what I mean? Like, so these, little things like that.
True that.
It's so important.
Far
I think
out,
having these
man.
clubs. But there was a really interesting chat I had with my colleague, that I came away from not really, thinking about, but subconsciously I've obviously walked away, and just now, to me that's probably my reasoning, behind so many of this, tailgating and just this crazy scene, because they're able to, because they don't have so much. I guess outside of it.
Focus stay into the
second chance platform to have a second chance.
Yeah.
That's a really good point you made, because man, when I went over there and experienced the sporting culture, man, I fell so in love with it. It made me love NFL.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know anything about NFL.
Oh, right, yeah.
Before I went there.
But
only because the bars were full of NFL players, because the game was on.
Yeah.
Man, I just got so soaked in with the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And man, I was thinking, man, I gotta watch the NFL now. This doesn't mean.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why I got into NFL, and actually funny, because I put this up on my my Instagram last night, is because I played Madden. The console game.
That's how people.
And that's where gaming is useful, because and if it wasn't for Madden, I wouldn't have learnt the rules. And Madden is so
True,
good.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Because Madden, seriously, it has every rule,
every play,
every rule you could think of, and it was literally, I said this on my Instagram last night. Like, I picked up, my dad would take me to the video store, in Beach Haven, on the shore, and he would hire out Madden 06 for me. This is going back, 10, 15 years ago, longer than that. Longer than 15 years ago, whatever, around that time. And he would also hire the PlayStation console from them too, just so I could play it, and he would hire it for a week. And And the reason why I got into NFL was because of literally that game. And I remember going for each team. And the reason why I fell in love with the Steelers was because my favorite player was Troy Polamalu. You know, and he was the only reason I followed the Steelers. And ever since then, you know, I've never gone to another team. You know, and so. Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, little things like that. You know?
Oh, yeah. Well, Troy Polamalu, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
That's the reason why I made this face.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It was like, this is my hero, this is my icon. Because, like,
was.
Like, even today, like, I base my game off him. And I don't play the same sport as him. You know, but I try and do little things that other players don't do on the field. And it's because of him, you know. And, like, I don't even look at any other player, like, from my own sports, you know, like, I do like Troy. Like I even went and picked up. Like I remember when I was like maybe 11 or 12 or whatever. Oh no, maybe a little bit older. Like it was my first time in Melbourne, Australia, because my dad's brother moved over there with his family and my cousins. So and it was my first time there. And there's a market there, a popular market.
Not the Preston Markets.
Is it Preston Market? Might be Victoria Market. Victoria Market.
Okay.
I think it's Victoria Market.
Okay.
I think it's called Victoria Market. Oh, I'm not too sure. And anyway, like being that young, obviously I didn't have any money. You know, like I didn't really have any money or anything. But my dad, you know, flew me over there just to spend time with my ainga over there and stuff. And obviously he gave me a little bit of money and stuff to, you know, be able to go out and do some things with them and stuff. And anyway, like Troy is literally my icon. And like I went over there not having any money, and I came across this store over there, and I knew he was selling fake jerseys, you know, but I literally bought a fake jersey. I don't know if it's fake, but I'm pretty sure it's fake, you know. But literally, you know, that's how much of an icon he was to me. I literally would picked up this jersey just because of him, and I haven't even worn it to this day. Like, yeah, and it's a fake bloody jersey, you know, like that's what I think it is, you know, at least. And it's hanging up on my bloody wall. You know, like that's how much of this guy, you know, of an icon this guy was. And that's the story why I got into NFL and stuff, was because of him and because of Madden. And ever since then, now I'm into the fantasy and you know. So
my younger brother's
fantasy's
like that too.
hard, are they?
Oh man, yeah.
Because you get
which fantasy are you guys on?
Oh no, my younger brother.
Oh,
he
okay.
is hard out. Hey, remember like someone wanted, he was like, he took the day off for his draft or something.
Yeah.
Then I went, hey, okay, what are you up to today? He goes, oh no, so I'm getting the stuff ready. This guy, you know?
It's so serious.
It is.
Yeah,
it
Sleeper.
is,
I use the app called Sleeper.
Oh, okay.
And me and my mates, it was the first time I've done it this year. Gone by. Yeah. And man, I tell you, it's dangerous.
It's intense,
because it's intense, man.
Yeah.
Like, and you have to stay up to date with everything, and it gets you so into this game, man.
Bro,
yeah, literally.
I saw them. They had a program on ESPN.
Yeah.
On fantasy league.
On fantasy.
Drafts in that.
Yeah.
And I went.
I'm not surprised.
And I was gonna wait. You know, I had to get the synopsis. Wait, is this?
Yeah.
It's not the real guys that you should. And I went. It's about the draft. You know, the fantasy draft.
Yeah.
And like there were, you know, you had the guys coming off the stats and that. And I was like,
and everything.
it's legit.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And because of that, like I play NRL fantasy and stuff as well, and NBA fantasy and whatnot. But like, honestly, like it's crazy how much like time you put into this little thing. You know, only just to get, you know, the bragging rights, you know, at the end of it. But, you know, it's something you enjoy, you know, and it obviously brings a smile to your face, you know.
We do the Super Rugby one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't do that one.
That one, you know, we know how you feel because we have our chat room in that.
Yeah.
We do our trades and just so much trash, and it's real serious.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking, like I'm right up until 7 o'clock. You know, I'm just should I draft this guy?
Yeah.
You know, you're like, should I bring him off the bench? Should I start? You know,
like you're looking at team lists and everything.
You know, like, and it's so much fun, eh? Like you feel like you're a GM.
Yeah,
you know?
well, that's it. That's it. You know, and like if it's anything, you know, that of a taste, you know, you're getting into the corporate world in terms of sports, you know, being a general manager and stuff. That's it, man. Like that's why I think so many people love it, because you know, it involves the idea of money. You know, you're using players, you're trading them. You know, it's crazy how it works, eh?
Yeah,
it's great because we have our rugby union podcast.
Yeah,
and because we all do fantasy, we know the players. We know all the you know, and even last year's players. Like if they come back, this guy's back in the team, and these are like guys down the bench.
Yeah.
And you know them anyway through the fantasy, so
exactly.
it helps that way.
It's the same with me with NBA, man. You know, like I didn't even know a lot of the NBA teams other than the Lakers. You know, because Lakers is my team. You know, it's been there for years. You know, and because of NBA this year as well, you know, that's the reason why I've learned so many of these, you know, players' names, and you know, I'm familiar with them, and you know, like you learn it, you know, you literally become the game almost, you know. So yeah, it's funny how it all works out, man. It's just you spend so much time, eh? yeah.
You know, with your podcast, I know you're gonna do sports ones and stuff. I assume you're gonna do a league one.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
You know, when I came back from Hawaii, just loving that whole sports culture. I thought that part of it was because of how our media treats sports, not like America treats sports in their media, which is so, to us, seems really extreme.
Yeah,
because they talk about players like we won't even say these things, you know, unless we're meeting our mates at work on a Monday morning talking about the games and the.
Yeah.
But those kind of conversations, when I came back, I was thinking, man, for a podcast, it would be good to express these conversations that we talk about with our friends.
Are you talking about like analytics, like going into depth a bit more?
Or even, you can, but even how you really feel.
Yeah.
Because the thing I like about American sports media is that, you're right, and the fans too, over there, they can absolutely trash a player if they're useless that game.
Yeah.
And they'll just trash the player. Next week, when he wins the game, he's the best player ever. You know, all the fans are up. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah,
it's that dynamic that I don't think people understand when they come when it gets to the point where it's like, oh, you can't say that about players' mental health. You know.
Yeah.
But where's the line?
Yeah,
sort of thing. You know, when you go to when you say, you know, we know we go to Warriors game.
Yeah,
and man, you don't want to repeat what a lot of the fans say. Yeah. At the Warriors game.
Yeah.
But you hear it.
Yeah.
So why is it something that's a no in mainstream?
Yeah.
But we're talking about podcasts here. We're not mainstream. Why? And the reason why I fell in love with podcasts is because I'm hearing stuff that I don't hear in mainstream.
Yeah. You're real. Hey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's real. So coming back to my point of like, so I had this idea of if I were to do a sports podcast, it would be about expressing that side of what the fans really think.
I'm following
about it, but it's something that, you know, everyone hears but doesn't want to.
Do you do that in your sports podcast right now?
No.
Why not?
I think.
Are you scared? Are you scared of what people will say?
No, I haven't been much on it.
I think
I'm the kind of rock. Yeah. There's a big difference when we do the counter rock, because I'm not highly on it there, but I do the NBA one, and we say all sorts of stuff because those guys in America, we don't care, like they're far away.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah.
So
like, what type of stuff are you guys like saying? Like are you blow volleying or you know?
I think the counter ruck, that one's they're more analytical.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and because that's what our mate Stacey is, the host. So he's kind of like, he's the analytical guy. He sees it from his view. So he's not as, I don't think he's not a more, you know, he's not a critical person.
Okay.
You know, I mean, like, he's not like one to really criticize somebody. But our other mate, Roger, he's the heart guy. You know what I mean?
Roger looks like a prop A.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's
is he with the police?
Yeah. That's also Rog.
Bro, hold on. Roger, does he have a son called Josiah?
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
Him and my brother are best friends.
Oh, Josiah?
Josiah's best friend with my younger brother.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew I recognized him.
Yeah.
I was like, I swear I know this guy, man. I was just trying to figure it.
Yeah.
I was like, man.
Because his wife teaches out there.
Yes.
Viv teaches out there.
Oh man, beautiful family, bro.
Yeah,
beautiful family. I've only ever said hello to Roger.
Yeah.
And his wife. But
well, watch out, he'll bite you.
Yeah.
He holds the record for most red cards out here.
No way.
Because
he's still playing, eh?
Yeah, he's playing that Waitemata.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, beautiful family, man.
Yeah.
I don't know them too well, but I know Josiah a little bit more.
Yeah,
he comes over and stuff.
Well, you know, when
Yeah.
Roger's posted up some of his videos
Yeah.
too. So
oh,
like
cool.
really
So
well
I recognize them very.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so as you're saying,
so he's that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's the dynamic of counter for us. And so is Joey. Joey's a bit like Stace as well. You know, they're very measured. That, you know, not like. I think what you're trying to go for is the kind of, you know, how you've got Skip
Shannon
and
Sharp.
Shannon Sharp.
And, Skip
you're
and
trying to go
Shannon.
for that.
That kind of going back and
dialogue.
forth and
Yeah. I mean,
and I think because here in New Zealand, we have what's the New Zealand equivalent? The rugby show that comes on.
Breakdown.
The breakdown.
Yeah.
They're not as critical. I think they're a bit weary.
Yeah.
Because they're the only show I think in town.
Yeah.
So you've got to be wary of that. If you're too critical, us as New Zealanders, we're going to go, these guys are just haters.
Yeah.
So I think they have to try and hold back because I'm pretty sure there's stuff that Mills wants to say that
I always thought when I was thinking about it, how we should present the podcast, the sports one, was if you can have the analytics to back up what you're saying, then you got no problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's what the counter ruck is.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
You guys saying that, like, I know what you're saying. But at the same time, what I've noticed on those shows, like, I'm not really a fan of it or anything. But I'm a huge fan of the rugby one, of the rugby league ones.
Oh, yes.
Not because I love rugby league.
Yeah.
Obviously I love it. I love rugby too. But because those guys are critical, like you look at NRL 360. Yeah.
Now that's more American style.
That's American
what I mean.
style.
Yeah.
That's a Shannon
style
Sharp
that,
right there.
That's right.
And your other dude.
Exactly.
Because those guys aren't afraid to pipe up. And say something.
Because they have the stats to back what they're saying.
Because they're fearless though.
They're
fearless as well. They don't care about consequence really.
No. But that's what would be good. Here is because when I do watch our show, when I do watch these shows, there is a bit of a not a scare tactic, but like they are afraid to kind of say their opinion, But you'll get every now and then someone will say something, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, no, I get what they're saying, or you don't agree with it. But for them to be the whole entire segment in that show to be hard, the whole time. At each other's, throats, that's, and if we're going back to, what you're trying to do or what you're wanting, you probably need to find someone that's wanting to go at you, but that's where, like, Zaya, when you said before, about when I said that comment about the vaping, and you said you didn't agree with it, that's exactly what we need. Do you know what I mean? Because then it gets that person thinking, or sometimes it maybe puts that person in a shell, but like, we need that. But again, you get some people, like, I guess, again, I'm referencing Ice here. He doesn't like that type of stuff, because, in terms of, the way the media go about, portraying these players, because all you see them is, if they mess up and they get, thing, but they don't see the other side sometimes, and so we do have to be careful. But we need shows, man, like that, because I feel like, over here, that's like, literally when that show's on TV, like, I just turn it off straight. I just go straight to another channel, or I don't watch TV at all, but I can sit there and watch NRL 360 the whole show.
I think that's why NRL 360 and the American sports shows are good. When you were saying, like, do we talk like that on our show, and I was just thinking counter rock, but I forgot about our NRL show. The footy show, because we have our mate over in there, lives in Gold Coast. We get on, and he's like no filter guy.
Oh,
yeah,
bro, that's good though.
He is no filter,
bro.
Yeah.
See,
so I just forgot about that.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna have to start listening to it because I didn't know you did an NRL one, bro. And so I'm gonna have to start listening to it because those are the things that are cool to hear. Is when someone's not afraid to pipe up. But again, like, we need shows like that here because we are too.
Yeah.
I think
because
mellow.
there's no balance, eh?
Yeah.
And the other thing, I guess the downside to that is that you can see sometimes if you watch, because I listen to Skip and Shannon all the time, and sometimes Skip's just trolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's the danger in those kind of shows.
Yeah.
When you go, oh man, did you notice that a lot of people are listening more to this?
Yeah.
And it might have been because you said stuff and like that. And if you start pandering to that side, you kind of start losing the identity of your show in that.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest fear. Like, oh, should I just say this because I know people are going to react, or am I going to say this because this is what I truly believe? And I think sometimes in NRL 360, you can see Paul Kent. He's trolling sometimes because he's got that kind of grin on his face.
And he's got that smile.
And when he's going there back and forth with Hooper or Buzz, I love the interaction because he's setting Buzz, and you can see Buzz getting worked up, and I'm like,
Buzz is old time.
He's old school way, and he's a cranky old man, and that's the awesome thing about what I like about the dynamics of that show, is that Ben Eichen, when he was there, he's that level-headed guy.
Yeah.
And then when Ben did mention something, like if he didn't agree with Kent, and he said it, you'd go, shucks, Ben's
Ben
right.
can say that.
Yeah, he can say it from experience, and he's putting poor Kent in his place.
Yeah, exactly that.
I guess at the end of the day, like we were talking about, like at home here, I want to hear a version of it here.
Yeah.
Talking about our games.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I don't want to tune on Sky TV and listen to a breakdown and listen to their way of doing it. I want to hear our own different alternative.
Yeah.
And there's none.
Yeah. Like I'm not throwing any shade at them because man, they do an awesome job. Each of them,
they're the benchmark. Yeah.
Each of them, do something and they bring something to the table. Which is awesome, and they're all experienced, obviously as well. They've played professionally or they've been in that realm at least. For years. And so they understand what they're talking about. But for me, like when I look at the New Zealand shows, like it looks like it's budget. Do you know what I mean? Like without. Yeah, no, seriously, it does. They look like they're on a budget, and obviously, again, it comes to money, and what they're able to afford and stuff, and TV rights, etc. But when you look at those other ones, they are just so on top of everything, regardless if they have the same amount of money or if they have more, whatever, or less, like they bring something. They just bring an energy, that like literally the viewer is so sucked in. And they don't want to miss it, and again, that's why, Skip and Shannon Sharp are just so onto it. And even the guests they get on, like, bloody hell, like one highlight one that I loved was the one with Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
And he's on their show and stuff, and like he just like throws shade at both of them.
Well, when I saw when Lil Wayne came on.
Yeah.
And it was his team Skip.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro.
Like where did that come from?
And it's genuine. And that's the kind of that's what I love about that show.
Yeah.
And that, because sometimes Skip says stuff that I think, I'm like, yeah, man, he's right. And I'm like, why are you thinking that? Like, I'm team, like, I'm not a shout. I think Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I'm the same.
and I love the way that, because Skip, he's team Michael Jordan too. But Shannon, mate, he's team LeBron through and through, man. You think he was LeBron the way he was talking about it. And I just love when they go back and I see the fans interacting and going, this is how you get it. Participation. This is how you get everyone. This is how you get ears.
Yeah. But see, like some of these shows, like I know a few NRL boys and they hate those shows. And they hate it because obviously they are trying to cause controversy. And so, the players may not like it, regardless, but obviously because it is, part of that environment, they are going to get judged no matter what, for me, I think those shows are more tailored to fans than anything,
Absolutely.
Because I think the fans are ones that paying the money.
Yeah, well, and that's it. Yeah, exactly that. And so, for me, like I totally see where these, professional players, coming from in terms of not liking these shows and, they disagree with it. They don't even want to hear about it. They want to talk about it and stuff. But when you're talking from a fan point of view, the fact that us three, fact that us three are talking about it, it shows we're fans, because we enjoy it. We love seeing it, and so it would be awesome, man, to see a show of that type. Here, I'd love to run a show like that. On a scale.
The other thing about, and I know why all the leagueies would dislike a show like NRL 360.
Yeah.
When you've got Buzz and you've got that we've got Hooper, Hoops, and Paul Kent. When you listen to them, all of their stuff, it's 50% opinion. And 50% of it's rumors, because they're like, I've heard that he's had a falling out with the club, and that, and the players must go. You're sitting there like, and I can, you can feel like these guys sound like they're just making, someone's just maybe the guy that was sweeping the floor, and he rang up, hey, poor man, I heard, Sonny Bill might be coming back because he was in the, and so they bring it, and then the players like, this is rubbish, man. If you're going to report something, let it be at least close to the truth. And because if you listen to them, man, when they open up, they've always got and we know that controversy sells.
Yeah.
So their headlines are, Maguire on the way out, he won't last a week, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I watch it, and then a week later, I'm like, I'm pretty sure they said,
this,
and the other thing I crack up is that they never backtrack.
Yeah.
They just stay set in their.
Pretty set in stone,
that's what I was told. I love when I say because
Buzz all the time, eh?
Yeah, that's Buzz.
what I was told.
Yeah. Hey, well, my rumors, my insiders, and I'm like, this guy sounds like he must have asked his grandson. What's been happening down at the park?
It is so true, eh? Like Buzz every week would say, "That's what I was told."
Yeah, and see that one when him and Cooper Cronk were going at it. Remember?
Yeah. And Cooper told him off, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He goes, maybe it was hard for you, but, not for me.
Yeah.
And that kind of showed, that's when I realized, flip, that dynamic, it is. That's when I said, there is a big gulf there.
Yeah.
Because, you've got, when Cooper Cronk comes on, when Benji's there, when James Graham are on, you hear them, they call those guys out, and that segment is what I love about that show.
Yeah. And the fact that these players will come on and actually challenge them.
Yeah, that's what I love.
Yeah, and so they should, because, not only are they trying to stand up for themselves, or but they got their teammates too that they have to stand up for, because they get asked tricky questions, these guys, and obviously, they, I've heard, not rumors, I've heard, what's it called? People say that these professional players actually get trained to talk to social media, or the media, especially when they get asked these tricky questions, how do they respond and stuff, and so for these guys to jump on, especially the Benji and James Graham one, or even when Cookie jumps on, because I've seen Cookie jumps on quite a bit as well. They get asked these questions, and they know how to respond, man, which is awesome, and that's exactly what we need, I think that's something that, on the breakdown, I don't really see too much as players on. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's true.
Those kind of tricky questions too.
Yeah. So see, I don't watch it all too much. In fact, I'll be lying if I said I've watched a complete episode, because I haven't, But, what I have noticed is there aren't too many, players jumping on, especially when you look at YouTube highlights, or YouTube the segments of R360. It shows when these players are on, or what talking points were and stuff. But when you look on something like that, I don't even know if the breakdown's on YouTube, but I don't see anything like that in the rugby scene. Maybe that's why the All Blacks are so not closed, but they don't tell everything. Like if you notice that, like the All Blacks, when they post up on YouTube, it's just their gym sessions, or maybe a media, like a press day conference or something. Like, but you don't really get the ins and outs.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there are players like Rieko Ioane, for example. Like when the World Cup was in Japan, it was in Japan, eh?
Yeah.
Like he did a vlog. He started his own vlog. And Artie was over there doing his podcast and stuff. That's why these players, I think, are starting it. Is because there isn't so much of a platform to kind of speak up on. And so that's why they're starting these things. Yeah. So it's interesting.
You've seen it in the Herald too. The Herald are reporting stuff that they're hearing on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like I know James Marshall, ex-rugby player for Hurricanes.
Okay.
He's got his own podcast.
Oh, that's the... Yeah, what one is that?
Is it What a Lad?
Yes, What a Lad. Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So he's used to be first five for Hurricanes.
Okay.
And he's done his podcast. So he's got all the players his mates, to come on and talk. And
he's had a lot of them too, eh?
He's had a lot. Yeah. And it's up there, because I saw on Spotify the top 100, and he's up there.
Oh wow!
But Herald is reporting stories from his podcast.
Wow!
And that article I read in the Herald with Adi Severe, like it said that the players aren't talking to the reporters anymore. They're going to podcasts.
Yeah,
because it's more real.
It is,
and they're comfortable talking to their mates.
Yeah,
and they're just telling the story and all that.
Yeah.
So. Reminds me of the whole cliche interview with the rugby player.
Yeah.
There's cookie cutter questions.
Hey, yeah. Credit to the lads. Yeah. You know what would be a really interesting segment, man, is I've heard Chad Townsend talk about this. Is he spoke about this with someone, I can't remember, but anyway, is the communication that they hear on the field. Like that it'll be an interesting segment to hear the types of what they're calling on the field, the type of the game plan and stuff. Like if they went through something like that. Like I've heard Chad Townsend talk about it, and he's thought about it. I don't know if he's done it or anything as of recent, but that would be a cool segment to hear from an All Blacks point of view. Like it doesn't need to be anything they're doing now, but maybe like from 5 years ago, get a player on and say, during this part here, what was the call? What were you guys thinking? What was the game plan? Like that would be a wicked, insight into the rugby, the rugby scene, the environment, and what they go through, eh? Yeah.
Man, you'd want to get someone like Daniel Carter to do something like that because the cool thing about Daniel Carter, because I watched his documentary on Amazon. Bro, it's awesome insight into him and kind of like where he came from, like any documentary, but gives him like a real insight into his insecurities in that. He just seems more level-headed than other guys. Other players, people like you think they're a bit much, or he seems like the kind of guy that wouldn't mind exposing more, and you'd want him to host a podcast because the connections that he has. Because remember when he was at the top of his game, he was an ambassador for Adidas. Was it Range Rover or something like that? Those kind of things. Like, and there's a segment there where he goes to some fashion show in Paris. And like that kind of shows like the kind of walks in life, all the people that he was
around,
and that's why and he's so analytical as well. If he'd done a podcast,
you'd have to be especially at first five, man. Holy, I mean, first five, second five. I mean, he's played in I think those two main positions that he's played in his career. But man, you are so right, bro. You just need players of his caliber, to start something like that, and it's cool seeing. That's why I liked hearing Chad Townsend, because he plays in the halves. That's pretty much the most pivotal position on a field, or he plays in the standoff. But I don't know, one or the other anyway.
Is that where you play?
Yeah. So I'm actually a hooker. I'm a hooker, but I've transitioned into the halves and stuff. And so, like for me, let's see, like just kind of hearing guys like that, on a podcast, that's really interesting, because that they're genuine leaders on the field, like that they're just born leaders, and there's a reason why they're playing in that position at that level, and so when you're talking about Dan Carter, that dude's been all over the place. He's been through injuries,
he's got different interests in that, with Richie McCoy, he likes flying.
Yeah.
He's a flanker.
He's
married to because he's so close,
he's pretty enclosed.
He's closed off, those are the things he likes.
Yeah.
Dan Carter, he's got into a bit
just that guy,
bit of trouble there, and
well, that's why, like, you think of if I was to compare Richie McCaw to anyone in rugby league, Simon Mannering.
Yes.
Like, I don't hear too much about him anymore, but he was my favourite player.
Yeah, he was
because he was just a hard nut.
Yeah.
And I read his book too, and amazing journey that fella went through as well. But like, it would be cool to just even talk to that guy.
Yeah. And if anyone could get him to talk, it would be DC.
Yeah, DC just knows, but these players know DC. And these players would want to get on someone like DC's, platform.
Because he's one of those sorts too, man. I hear some stories about him when he's on the juice with the boys,
Hey.
Yeah.
He's a good laugh, eh?
Just going back to how we were talking about the media and how this guy, how he said that they don't talk to the reporters, and it's because of that. There's a mistrust there, because I think the way the media's treated these guys, Artie, and I think the way that they treated Julian when he had his dramas and that.
Yeah, good example, bro.
Because a couple of weeks ago, there was that incident where Artie got in trouble for not having a mouth guard or something.
Yeah.
And then he put on I remember he put out a tweet or something, and he said, it would have been nice if you had come and talked to me and said it to me before you went and reported. And I think it might have been a reporter, that actually knocked him off. So you've already got a mistrust of the media, and then you've got other people like that.
Yeah.
Why would you want to talk to the media? And that the way that you can get your truth out is either through a podcast or through social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's because it used to be what the machine used to be. As a player, if you want to get your story out, you build a relationship with a good reporter. You tell them something, and they're gonna paint you in the same verbatim. They'll tell you what you said, but you tell a reporter something, and they're gonna they'll go, oh, I think you might have meant this, and I'll bring up something from the past that he's talked about. You can see why these guys don't. You know, you can see why that the Herald have to go to James Marshall's podcast to get any information because none of the boys want to open up to them anymore, man.
Yeah. It's so true, man. It's so true, and like, you know, it's kind of like you know, if players are definitely swaying away now, you know, but you know, it's been around for a while now, and these players are starting to kick up, you know, a fuss about it, you know, and I think these media people really got to start showing a little bit more respect, you know, to these players, because, you know, at the end of the day, these players do have families to go home to, you know, and you know what is said in the media not affects them, but affects their families as well, you know, like, you know, if their kids, you know, if they have kids and they're going to school, quite simple, man, you know, like, you know, a kid, you know, who's my brother's age, you know, will look at something and all of a sudden, you know, Josiah's done this and this and this, he's in trouble for this. I haven't been in trouble for anything, you know what I mean? But because he's seen it in the media, he's, you know, told my brother, and my brother, you know, he could get upset from it, you know, you just never know, man. You know, so yeah, these media people, man, you know, I like to think, you know, some of them are pricks, but, you know, well, it's true, man.
You know, in our earlier podcast, that was a lot. We used to talk about that a lot.
Oh, okay.
How the mistrust of any media, you know, how like we're not getting, you know, a fair deal as Polynesian people, but just we thought some of the stuff that they were putting through was all biased. So it was just about being fair, you know, because a lot of these pieces that come through now, a lot of more opinion pieces instead of actually, can you just tell us, you know, I think the other piece was what, when, where, how, or whatever, and it's not, but their one now is what, when, and what do you think I think, and, you know, this is what you should think, and that's why we love the podcast, because we thought, you know what, we're just going to go up and we'll just talk about what we think is going on these days, especially our early ones, especially under the influence. A lot of those kind of rants, man, they're like, shit.
But you know, that's what I love about, you know, people like yourselves, you know, like you're doing something that obviously other people aren't doing, and you know, you're obviously going to use this as a you know, way to express your guys' own feelings and opinions, you know, and that's so important, you know, because a lot of people continue to get judged, you know, for you know, not doing that. And when someone does, it's obviously because it's in the wrong context or environment, you know. But again, you know, we've said it quite a few times tonight, you know, a podcast is just an excellent way of being able to express your opinions and your thoughts, you know. So yeah, you know, I fully understand where you guys are going with it, you know, as well.
And we're still learning too. I mean,
yeah, likewise.
For me, it's I'm still practicing how to talk. Yeah, because I'm, you know, generally like, you know, I'm always the quiet guy. I'm always the quiet guy of all of us. You know, I'm not really a out there person. Yeah. But because I love podcasts and I love the way, you know, what I was hearing, and it just made me want to do it, you know. And because I ended up, like I said, like I ended up wanting to hear stuff that's not out there. Yeah. So I may as well just go and do it. And hopefully someone can do something like it and or make it better, and then maybe I can listen to it too. Yeah. Because there's nothing here for me to listen to that's got to do with what I love, and it's sports or movies or music. Yeah, I want to hear stuff that I can relate to, you know. And if I can't do it, then I want someone else to do it.
Yeah. No, that's good, and that's why I've started my new segment on my thing called Locker Room Chats.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. So that's a bit of
a mean idea, bro.
Yeah, so it's like a, you know, not behind the scenes, but yeah, you know, what goes on at a you know, club level over here, you know, and because there's not really much you know, I guess awareness around, you know, what goes on here, you know, like amongst the players and families, we know what goes on, you know, and you know what it's all about, and the laughs and stuff that you have at trainings and away from the field, you know, when you're on the piss up, you know, and the mad Mondays and whatnot, your silly Sundays, you know, a lot of it as a player, but for, you know, your regular person who isn't around that, you know, I'm sure they would love to hear, you know, what it's like, you know, because again, you know, you hear the media say some things about, you know, what goes on, but that's far from the truth, you know. Some of it's truthful, you know, but not the entire thing. Yeah, man. They just take the little, you know, little grain of, you know, whatever it's called, and, you know, they blow it up into a massive, you know, portion, you know, and it's just it's far from the truth. So that's why I started up this new one, because I want to get to know not only the players and stuff, but, you know, I want to hear what, you know, some good stories, some laughs, you know, and just you know, have genuine chats, you know, and yeah, you know, so that's why I started that, you know, that new segment, Locker Room Chats. So yeah.
See, what I liked about that one, I don't know if it was Locker Room Chats or another one, but when the boys were talking about John Eklund,
Yeah, there was
And
locker room
all I
chats.
knew about him, I knew he was a rugby coach,
Yeah,
and I knew he coached Samoa,
yeah.
and I know he's at Mount Albert Lions.
Yes.
But that's about it.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's cool to get to hear the boys' point of
That
view.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. But I was like, man,
Yeah.
that's some more insight. You
Bro,
know?
I'll tell you this about John Ackland, bro. Like he was there at the Warriors. He took the Warriors to the under 20s. He took them to 3 grand finals, won 2 of them, and I think he lost one of them. And but he was there in the years when Ivan Cleary was there, and that's when the Warriors were doing really well, you know. And you know, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything, you know, in terms of why he left, but you know, he obviously left and he came back to club footy, and this is how good this man is, man. Like, and this is why I respect him so much as a coach, is because Otahu went through a rough season 1 year or a couple of years, and they got dropped into Sharman. He went to Otahu and coached them just to bring them back up, you know. And for someone like him who has all the experience in the world, he's been at an NRL level, he's assisted you know, Ivan Cleary, you know, when they were really successful as well. For him to just go do that, you know, at a club level here in New Zealand, you know, that's just that's talking about someone that's there for the game, not there for the accolades, you know. And that dude, man, you know, like, I have so much respect for him. I had nothing to do with this dude before I went to this club either, you know. And like, since I've been at the club, you know, like he is like seriously one of the most down to earth people, you know, whether he's sober or on the piss, you know. Like he's there for you as a player. Like he'll text me during the week, he'll text us, you know, the players during the week, hey, are you going all right, are you okay, you know, or, you know, can you look at this during the game? Like, he gives us, you know, parts of the game where we need to, you know, analyze and, you know, work on, fix and stuff like that. Like, that dude, man, he is just another level, and he's doing this at a club level. So if it's anything, like, this is the closest thing to an NRL experience, or, you know, into the system that we're going to get, you know, at a club level. So, you know, I can't speak highly enough of someone like him, and that's why the boys just love him, especially with Aiden being there at the club, you know, because that's his son. And he's my partner too, you know. So
I love John Ackland because he helped win a premiership at the Canterbury Bulldogs.
Oh, okay.
Because he is before he went and done all that stuff, he was a talent scout for the Bulldogs.
Isn't he still? I'm pretty sure he's still.
Didn't you find?
I think he's still.
He found Sonny Bill.
Yeah, I remember the story where he's the one he took Sonny Bill over to Sydney.
Yeah, that's right.
Him, Roy Asatasi was another one of. He had a few guys, but those two were, you know, they were big reasons why he won in 2004. You know, he spotted all these guys. He got all these guys over to Canterbury, and that's why.
Wow.
You know,
That was you're talking about the year Steve Price was in Jade.
Yeah, 2004.
That was JT's last year.
Yeah, when he was on the bench.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah,
came off the bench. Yeah, so so when we had all those young guys coming through Canterbury and that, he was the talent scout.
Wow.
He went and found
I heard
these
of something
guys.
like that, bro.
Yeah.
I heard of something like that.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he still is, Like, he's got something.
So.
I have a feeling he has something to do with him.
Yeah.
And stuff. But man, I have so much respect for that guy and his family as well, and what he does for the clubs. Not just at Mount Albert, but, you know, obviously clubs like Otahu as well, you know. But he's been around, and so many players have been under him as well, you know, over the years, because he's been in the scene for a long, long time, you know. So yeah, and he's a teacher himself as well. So yeah, he obviously knows what he's doing, you know. Yeah. So it's been real cool. But I'm glad you locked that part, man.
I love it, man. Man, I got to know Moses.
Oh yeah.
On the podcast.
A lot of people did.
Man, it's funny because man, I think this is what podcasting is all about. Because I love it how you and your show, you're real transparent and how you run your show, and you talk about it on the podcast and do all that, the behind the scenes. Yeah. And to me, that's like, man, that's so cool, because I don't think people do that kind of stuff. Huh?
Yeah. Because there's so much that goes on, you know, especially when you're planning, you're trying to get your guest on, and a whole lot. Yeah.
I guess for us, it's behind the scenes for us.
Yeah.
But you actually talking about it. You're telling a story about it, which is cool. But man, like when I thought about when I first heard the episode when Moses came on. Yeah. I think it was the one, not when you interviewed him.
Okay.
It was the one after that. Oh, was the one after that?
Yeah. I've done 3 of them now. So he does the locker room chats.
Yeah.
I've done his personal one, and then the behind the scenes.
There was behind the scenes one I heard. Okay. The first one I heard. And you know how you guys talking about, because I think it was the whole dynamic of you being the serious one, he being the funny guy.
Oh yeah.
Him being a dick.
Yeah.
But before you said he was a dick, I could hear I could hear that he was a dick. I was like, man, this guy's a dick. Oh, shout out to Mez. But I was like, man, this guy's a dick. And then when you said it, man, you're a dick. And I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. And that was cool.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, man, he's going to be that guy that's going to be the funny guy opposite to you. Like, sort of a contrast to you. Which is really good because you need that. You need that balance, son.
Yeah. Moses is so cool, man. Like he, before I had even went to it, because he's at Mount Albert Lions too. And this is the reason why I got him on, and before this, like we've played in the same teams with we go down to a Māori Nationals at the end of every year down at Rotorua, and that's how I met him. And so we were in the same team there, and so then I ended up coming to Mount Albert this year, and he was already there. And bro, like it's funny, because all our mates who know him, they didn't really realize how much of a story he had, and to hear why he had been through so much stuff, it really like opened up a few of the brothers' eyes, like, man, okay, now I understand why he did go through a bit of a a patch, in terms of difficulties and stuff and challenges and stuff, but to get him on, bro, like he has always been a joker from day one. I met him, that dude, bro, like he just knew how to make anyone laugh, like anyone. Like he would come up with jokes, he would just slam you, like with just sayings and everything. He just knew everything, like in terms of the latest jokes and stuff like that. And bro, like he just brings this different energy, like all the time, and like and what's funny, like you see it in his kids, like his son's pretty much almost a split image of his dad, like and his son's like 4 years old, and like I'm just like, bro, like you're like your dad, yeah, just someone that just brings laughter, and just a different type of energy, Again, that's why I knew like I needed to expand my freaking podcast, because I like to like I'm a bit of a joker, I get it, but I love to be serious too, when it comes to being serious, and yeah, obviously my segments are quite serious, whereas his ones, a bit of a he's a dick. yeah.
It was the first impression, right?
Yeah.
And then I listened to the other one when you talked about his what he's been through and all that. And I listened to the whole thing because because and this is the power of a podcast, a long form podcast, a long form media.
Yeah.
That you can get to know someone in depth.
Yeah.
If you allow that, but it makes you. There's gonna be some stuff that you're gonna hear that's gonna relate to you.
Yeah.
And man, some stuff that he said, like you said, your other friends heard it and they felt some stuff. Man,
yeah.
I was like, man, that's exactly what I went through like one time in my life. Probably not like, as extreme, but I can relate to bits and pieces of what his story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, man, this guy's the man.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people like have said like, why did you get him on? Like, because like, they're saying it in a joking way, I hope, but at the same time, they're just like, man, this is cool because he brings a different vibe, different flavor and stuff, And again, it's kind of like you two, like you're running this together, Zaya brings a completely different, vibe, and you bring a different vibe, which is cool because it complements each other as well, so yeah, you have to understand that, with who you got on as well, so yeah.
How did Moses feel after the episode, bro? Because man, he told some.
Yeah, good question, man. Like,
some deep stuff.
When I asked him to jump on it the first time, like I said to him, bro, do you just like, are you gonna be honest? Like I said that too. I said, bro, are you gonna be honest? Because I knew he had been through some stuff. I've even seen it, like, and we weren't even like best friends or friends at that time, like I just knew him as a mate, literally. We never would message each other or anything. But after the podcast, like hearing back on it, that's one that I did listen back on, because it was some heavy stuff. And I remember messaging him later, and I said, bro, how'd you feel? Or like even when we rocked up the train, how'd you feel? And he goes, bro, it was mean. I loved it. And I said, why? And he goes, because I was so transparent. And he said I was, that was me being me. And then it wasn't until I think some of the boys, his closest mates, hit him up, his best mates, that he'd grown up with, been to school with, they hit him up and said, bro, like, I didn't really know any of that about you. I've only seen you because of social media, and on social media, he's a funny dude, he's a bit of an attention seeker, some would say. But then some of his mates messaged him, bro, like, I'm sorry, like, I didn't really realize you had been through that stuff, and they had told me that too, and I was just like, you know. So I was just glad that he came away with it, knowing that he had expressed, you know, obviously another side of him, a serious side of him, because everyone has a serious side to them, regardless if they're jokers or not. You know, it's always the funny ones, though, that you know, tend to have, you know, I guess, or something that I've seen, you know, the funny ones always seem to have a bit of another side to them that you know, not many people, you know, like,
It's also when you talk about like mental health, like they always say you got to talk about, you know, if you're having problems, talk about it.
Yeah.
People to, you know, to text your mate that you haven't seen or ring him up and ask, hey, right, that kind of thing, and that's all part of it.
Yeah.
And I think to have his friends let you know that, man, I never knew that. And probably, I don't know, because I heard stuff that, man, I went through something similar.
Yeah, bro.
And man, you know, it's like, it's powerful. You know, but you never know who's gonna listen. You never know how it's gonna affect someone positive out there in the world that somehow comes across your podcast and listens to the episode. And
I remember one of our teammates came out after training. We had done we weren't flogged or anything, but like, you know, we had been through, you know, fairly decent training. We walked out of the club rooms that night, and I was walking to my car. I was about to literally hop in my car, and I heard Josiah, you know, and I turned around, and it was the bro Aiden Acklin, you know, John's son. And I go, yeah, bro. And he goes, bro, I listened to that podcast today, you know, when it came out that day. And he said, you're like, bro, like, I did not know any of that. And he was like genuinely shocked,
Yeah.
like genuinely shocked. And Aiden had known Moses longer than I had, because, you know, he had been at the club, you know. And so to hear someone like Aiden, you know, say something like that was really cool to hear, because, you know, that's Moses opening up. And I was kind of shocked, because Moses opened up to someone he didn't really know. Like, I still don't even know Moses, you know, like I still don't even know his family that well, you know, like, you know, and that's just me being honest. Yet I feel like we, you know, the bro we have a connection in a way, you know, because, you know, we just love people, you know, and he loves people too. So yeah, man, you know, so it was really cool to hear Aiden say that, you know, and he was just real shocked, you know, and a lot of people were. So
do you think it helped, you know, how you just said that when you knew him, like but you didn't really know him, so you would have asked questions that because you would have wanted to know more about him, or you would ask questions, well, this will help, you know, because if you were coming from a friend's perspective, if you really knew him, then you might not ask questions that, because you might be wanting to protect him, because you would have known a bit of his background.
Yeah,
but
true.
I felt like if you're asking from a truly honest perspective of where you really want to know more about a person, you'll ask questions with no bias, because you really want to learn more about this person. And I think that's why that might have helped that dynamic with you and Moses, because, you know, you didn't really know the background. Maybe someone who knew him more wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah. True. So true. Like, you've put that really, you know, into words really well, because I felt like, if I did know him, I probably wouldn't have touched on some of those topics. But like with me and a lot of my guests, I'm genuinely trying to get to know them.
Yeah, that's us too.
Yeah,
man.
like I'm genuinely trying to get to know them, you know, and because I had known he had been through some of them, that's why I touched on it, and it was just cool for him to say it, you know, and own up to it, you know, and you know, obviously, you know, his life is starting to change, you know, and I hope in a more positive way, you know, and obviously because he does have a beautiful family, bro, like that, you know, and you know, he is so blessed, you know, to have his family with him. But yeah, he had been through some challenges. I know Cam, you know, you would have heard, you know, he'd been to, you know, he at a point, you know, he wasn't even allowed to see his son, you know, for his son's first year, you know, like he wasn't even allowed. So, and reasons behind it, you know, but, you know, in saying that, like the reason why he wasn't allowed, you know, he still loves that, because it was because of a church that he had gone to, you know, but he loves that church still, and that's so cool to see. So he hadn't burnt any bridges or anything, you know, and so yeah, exactly that, bro. Like it's cool to just now know him more than what I did. Yeah.
I guess the thing that got me when I was when you're talking about alcohol. When he was talking about putting alcohol on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And how we lived that life back.
Actually, you remember that too. I forgot about that. Yeah. Alcohol on a pedestal.
Because, you know, man, that was me. Like, back in the days, like, you know, when we talked about, you know, you got to take a photo of the bottles.
Yeah.
And have all the bottles on the table and take a photo.
Yeah, man.
And you
Do
show
your
it off.
vortex
And,
and
you know,
bro.
and like,
yeah.
to him, he's talking like that was the priority in life.
Yeah.
And now he's changed, right? He's saying like there's more to life than just,
I mean, he still enjoys himself.
Yeah,
you know, every now and
yeah,
then. Yeah, as he should.
Yeah.
You know, we're all still young. You know, we all should. But yeah. But yeah, he's definitely priorities are changing for him. Yeah.
It's distraction, eh? It's something that's stopping you from achieving your true potential.
Yeah, it's like hiding, right? Like I mean, isn't it? You drink alcohol because it suppresses your feelings or something, or you know, like.
I think for me, what I got out of it was when I thought about me, I thought about it was just fun, right?
Cool.
But
yeah, okay.
the fun overtook everything else. Like having fun.
Priorities, eh?
Yeah, I'll put that in front of maybe developing professionally or moving up in the world or whatever. But that's what I was thinking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, everyone goes through something, eh? You know, like I've been very fortunate. Like I grew up in a family. My mum and dad never drank, so I was never around alcohol. You know, like my first taste of alcohol was when I was like 18. You know, like, you know, seriously, you know, like a lot of people be like, oh man, this dude hasn't lived life, you know. But even to today, that's why I don't drink even now, like during the season. Like my teammate, you guys, my teammates, like they know me as someone that doesn't drink. Like I don't touch alcohol unless it's a, you know, like if we, you know, when we win a grand final, you know, of course I'm gonna enjoy a couple, you know, or a few, you know, like, you know, it's just part of it, you know, of enjoying the win. But for me, I'm just very fortunate, like I've never been around it, and that's why I am the way I am, I guess. And you know, and I'm okay with it. Which is the main thing.
That's awesome, man. Because when you think of the league culture and that, you know, you think of like you already alluded to, Mad Monday, and you know, you've got your Kangaroo Court, all those kind of things. And the awesome thing is that they respect you enough to not try and force it upon you. Because you know, there's that kind of culture. Come on, man, just try, you know, just have a few. Because you know that's you know, that'd be me. So like, man, wow, you're soft, bro. Have a beer, you know, that kind of stuff. But it takes true character, and that's very admirable, like of you, man, to just to say, look, I don't drink, and you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not tempted by it. I stand by, you know, you know, that's awesome, because it's very very rare. You know, especially in league. Because you know, I've gone down to see Henry Nicholas down at Richmond Rovers or whatever teams he's at, and you know, that's usually the thing. In the changing rooms, open a beer.
It is. It is, you know, it's straight away. You know, as soon as we finish our game, you know, the boys are on the piss and stuff. You know, but you know, that's part of the culture, and they enjoy it that way. But yeah, you know what you're saying about my teammates. You know, respect that they do, man. You know, and like it was a bit of a shock to this team, at least. You know, when I was at Northcote Tigers, they knew that anyway, and so they didn't bother anyway, you know. But when I did have a couple of drinks, you know, at the end of the season or at a court session or something, it was because, you know, like I felt like I deserved it, you know, because I had worked, you know, like you know. But yeah, when it came to Mount Albert Lions, they were really shocked in the beginning, and but they learned. And even now, like I walk up to the club, the first thing they do, like after, you know, when we're at the after matches and stuff, it's not, do you want to, you know, what's it, a Corona or whatever, it's a, do you want a Coke or do you want a lemon lime and bitter, you know, they know that, and so so they respect that, man, and that's what, you know, I couldn't ask for, you know, I couldn't ask for anything better, you know, especially being at a club like that. So Hey, I want to ask you fellas a question, man, like where do you guys see your podcast heading? You know, in terms of, you know, where you guys want to go, where you guys want to be as you know, hosts.
Man, I still feel like I haven't perfected the craft, and it's just me. I'm just trying to, man, because I really want to do like solo podcasts.
Okay,
but I know you've done it.
Yeah.
For me, man, I tried it. It's hard.
Yeah,
man, I like stopped.
So do you guys normally do it together?
Yeah.
You've never really ever done it by yourself?
No.
Oh, he's done a few.
No, I'm not like by myself, like as by myself.
Oh,
no
okay.
guests.
No
just
guests.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Talking
Yes.
about
Yeah.
I tried.
Yeah.
It was hard, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like solo podcast.
Yeah,
like,
when it's just by yourself, you're talking about something, right? Yeah.
So what I want to do, I want to talk about like a movie I watched or a game.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But I think I'm still trying to perfect the craft.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm the exact same. You know, when I first did it as well, you know, I'm like, who is going to listen to this? You know, and that. But it is your real supporters, man, that will listen to it. You know, and because they generally, that's why I am doing these different segments. You know, like yourselves, because there are different people that like different things. You know, people like my business side of stuff. People like listening to individual podcasts. People like listening to my team chats. You know, little things like that. So yeah, I understand where you're feeling and stuff, but it comes down to, I guess, a bit of confidence as well, you know, like, you know, I think you got a definite knack for it, without a doubt, you know, like the both of you just know how to hold a conversation, you know, like I think, bro, how long have we been sitting there for? Freaking hours, you know, like just chatting. And it's the first time we've caught up, you know, like this is the first time we've met each other, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying, you know, and yeah, you know, naturals, you know, like you have to, you know, you have to be a specific person to be able to do this, I reckon. Not everyone can jump in and do this.
My younger brother, he put up this tweet, and I told this guy about it, because, you know, me and him, we started really young. I mean, not really young, but we, you know, I've been listening to podcasts maybe about 13 years now, and we were fortunate because my brother, when he came over from Melbourne as well, and he's like, man, I've been listening to ESPN. It's got this little thing called podcast, this little app that they've got on my iPhone 3.
Yes.
So, you know, we started listening then, and then he put out this tweet where, you know, I've listened to podcasts for a while now, and you can listen to a podcast and know that that person's never listened to a podcast before.
Yeah.
So, and like when you said it's a special, I mean, it takes a certain kind of person. I think it also takes a person that's actually listened to one before. Because a lot of people go like this, I'm gonna do a podcast, press record. And then they go, oh, and we're just gonna,
and we're live.
And okay, so this is a podcast. You know, no. Hopefully you've listened to one, and then you'll know how it goes. What is the reason of your podcast? Why do you do this? You know, are you doing this because you think this is what I have to do, or are you doing this because this is what I want to do? You know, and that's where I think where this guy, when he started it, and then we started going together. I think the reason, like, alluding back to what you said, where do you think this podcast going? Yeah, I've always said, and this guy knows, you know, I prefer this, me and him together. You know, when it comes to guests, when because the back of the 135 format is just a talk, you know, just a discussion, meeting new people. You know, we've got those other branches. You know, we've got the rugby one and the girls when they focus about music and all that. It's always the back of the 135 to me. This podcast specifically, I just think we've got it. Like, cool. We've got our identity. Yeah. And I remember I brought it up before. We had Nixon on, so before we had Nixon come on, we were just sitting around.
That's from My Morning, eh? Nixon
yeah. So yes. And before he came on, we were just sitting around and suddenly, what about fast? I remember one of our early discussions was I was telling these guys how Eats Fast 6 was or something. When the Rock, when they shot the torpedo and he hopped out the Cavalli and he moved the torpedo to go, and I went, this is where we're at, boys. You know, so that was that early, because we were still trying to find out what's our identity. Yeah. And back, that one was like, let's just sit around and just talk smack and talk about what we had to eat.
It was just 20 episodes.
Yeah.
First 19 episodes was just yarns.
Wow.
Just yarns. You know, we were just talking around and went to work today, and, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then when Nixon came on, and it was me, Karen, and our other mate Eric that had started it with us. Yes. And we thought, and we talked to Nixon, and we learned all this new stuff. And Nixon was telling us about the story that he had with Fast Crew, and he was telling us about all these things. And then afterwards, I remember when Nixon came and he said, "Man, I love what you guys are doing. Man, this is what you should be doing." This was a Saturday afternoon. I'd come straight from work, so I'm late as usual. I came, these guys already started, and I was just so. I just wanted to know so much about Nixon, because you know, I know who he is on the radio, but I'd love to know more about it. And once he started letting us know what he was into, I said to this guy, you know, after we sat around, patting ourselves on the back. Oh man, that was awesome, man, and all that. And I thought, this is us. This is us. This is what our identity. This is what we've been working towards. You know, before all that stuff just sitting around. we're going to get people in, and we're going to learn more about people. And from that point on, it's just been easier.
Yeah,
you know?
It gets easier with each guest.
Once you know what the vision is, eh?
Yeah, 100%. And especially when you're wanting to know someone, you know, we've spoken about it already, but yeah, you know, you just know, you know, and you know what was cool before, you know, when I walked in, like we pretty much got straight into the conversation.
Yeah.
And we haven't stopped. You know, like bro, like I didn't even know you two outside of this. And bro, 9:30 already. And we started at 6:15. You know, it just goes to show. You know, I mean, also with a power cut. You know, but you know, like exactly that. You know, it's just so cool to see you guys. You know, have your own taste, your own flavor, your own style. You know, and it just shows because, man, I see you guys pumping out content left, right, and center, especially on your page, your YouTube page. Like, you know, you're getting guest after guest after guest after guest, or you're doing your own skits, you know, and I'm like, man, these guys are doing different things, you know, and doing them consistently, and doing them quite frequent as well. So, yeah, man, like that's what I found cool was when I walked in, we just got straight into the chat. And we haven't even stopped.
I think what we learned earlier on is that we would get guests and would sit around for half an hour, like, okay, and so how was the drive and blah blah blah. And then they would open up a bit more. A bit too much. And by the time we started, we're like, we already know this guy. You know,
bro, I know the same thing, man, and it frustrates me because I'm like, every time, when I have a conversation with someone before the podcast starts, I'm like, oh damn, we should have spoken about that on the podcast. You know, like, or I'm gonna ask you again. You know, it's like, oh man, you know, sometimes you don't realize, so that's something I have to do more, heading down the line, is just push play straight away, just talk, and if I have to, then I can just cut the beginning out. Do you know what I mean? You
know what I love about this long form is when you have the 3-hour conversation,
4 hours
like the guests you have, they might reveal stuff that they probably didn't expect to reveal because it's long, so they get comfortable after the first hour, and then maybe the last hour they're like revealing stuff that was really interesting that they probably didn't expect to reveal. So we find that a couple of times as well.
No, and that's so cool, Mary. That's so cool because I'm the same. I'm the same as well. You know, some of my guests, you know, don't really realize. Like I had a guest called Grace Carr on, and she was real cool because after the conversation, like she was like, I've never done a podcast before. And I was like, oh, really? And she's done all the media things you could think of, you know, being interviewed, being on, you know, whatever documentary or whatever, you know. But then first podcast, you know, I was her first podcast, and she said to me, like, you're now part of my journey because I've never, you know, been a part of that before. So for me, that was real cool hearing that from someone, you know, and stuff like that.
We heard that similar thing from Lama when he was on because he's been on 551 PI, he's been on media a lot of times, but I don't think he's been on the podcast. He didn't say, but he said that, man, this is different. Like, it's like a chat. It's like not formal. It's just casual.
It's so funny, how like people will come on thinking it's only going to be like an hour, especially if they don't listen to a podcast.
See, that's what I mean.
And then 3 hours go by, 4 hours goes by, and then it's like, wow, I've really spoken for that long. That whole conversation.
No, man, I'm happy you've got your own podcast and you're pulling out content as well.
Thanks, bro.
But I always think, like, you know how you said you came in and we just went straight into it? It's different. That sets the scene, or that sets the tone of how different this podcast is going to be. When I listen to other podcasts and it's so, like, mainstream. Come on, man, you're a podcast. You don't have to be like that.
Like, I feel like so many people are scared, you know, like, we've said it already, but again, you know, but people, I think because we've been brought up around, or, you know, that's been in front of us for years, that's what we think we have to be, you know. And, you know, when you're talking about people, you know, come on, bro, this is a podcast, you know, like, it is different, and people got to recognize that, and you know, they obviously got to realize that it's a different platform altogether.
Well, I think, you know, you've got a fair bit of a journey home there, bro. So,
man.
You know, before we finish up, let us ask you, what's the future? You know, because you've already talked about your business in it. What about you? What's the long-term goal for Back Yourself? Because we know you're already backing yourself.
Nah, thank you, bro. Man, for me, I think I just want to be able to, you know, as we were saying before, like, you know, educate people, you know, from from someone else who's kind of living through some stuff as well, like like I said, I want to start a business, and I want to use the Back Yourself podcast to promote the business, or be able to educate people on how you could go about it as well. There's so many similar ideas out there, but for me, it's just really like getting on there, leveraging it, but also just being able to inspire and just make people talk about it, and have fun, down the line, I don't really know where it's going to go. I don't think anyone really knows where it's going to go. It would be awesome if, I was the next Joe Rogan, but, at the end of the day, you just never know, but while I am doing it and I'm loving it too, like I said, I just want to be able to inspire people and just, bring a sense of joy and laughter along the road as well. So yeah, like for me, I would love to see where it heads in the direction. Hopefully a positive direction, and
will be, man.
And if something else comes out of it, something else comes out of it as well. So, so with the Back Yourself podcast, that's probably what I want at the end of the day, is just to inspire and bring some laughter and love to people around the world.
Man, that's awesome, Oos.
Sure, Oos. Hey, I just got one more question.
Yeah, bro.
I like what you did with the Q&A.
Oh yeah.
How's that been going? Has that been going good?
Yeah.
Been a lot of feedback?
Are you talking about on the podcast or on the Instagrams?
I mean, is the Q&A the feedback thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the survey. Yeah.
The survey. I mean, the survey.
Bro, man. There have been quite a few people gotten back and given me some awesome advice and stuff, and that's why I have started these new segments, man, along the way, is because people are wanting to hear it, wanting to listen to it and stuff. So that's probably one of the best. Oh, sorry, the most is it undervalued. Yeah, undervalued like forms of like ways you could go about getting
growing,
growing, helping yourself out. Just people again are afraid to do it, because they don't want to get judged. But I'm one of those ones, man. I don't care, man. Like like I want people to judge me. Like I like the first thing like people will say to me is like, I love your podcast, but the first thing I'll say back to them, like obviously is thank you, but it's what don't you like about it, and that really catches people. Like people don't know what to say about it, but what's really cool is some people will come back and say, oh, there's actually nothing I don't like about it, and that's really nice to hear. But when someone does tell me, something, then, obviously that's something for me to really keep an eye on and work on as well. But that survey's worked really well, and a lot of people got back to me about it. So nice. It's been real good. So it's on the link tree still as well. So if anyone does want to give more feedback, after they listen, go ahead.
Oh, you want to shout out? So you want to add it to where they can find your podcast, where you are on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
what you're under in that. Just for people that have maintained through the 4 hours of listening to them.
I know.
He hasn't even mentioned where we can find them once.
But see, that's the cool thing, like I wanted to come on here and just have a general chat like we are now, but along the way we've dropped,
That's right.
We've dropped it in and stuff, but it just goes to show our interests, as well. But man, you can find it. Instagram is the Back Yourself podcast, I think, or the Back Yourself _podcast. Oh, you should be able to find it. And you'll be able to find it on Spotify, Apple, podcasts and stuff like that. On I think every podcast streaming platform as well, and on YouTube as well. YouTube just sparked up. So if you want to head over there, subscribe, whatever it is, and man.
Find him down at Mount Albert.
Find me down at Mount Albert. Man,
down at Fouds.
You know what has been cool, man, is like some of the boys that we were playing. Like I didn't even know some of them, but they've come up to me and be like, "Man, I love your podcast." That's huge.
That's what I love when people come up.
And then it's so random, bro. It's so random, and it's in a time where like I've just literally battled it out with this dude across from me,
the opposition. I thought it was your own guys. Man,
like my opposition,
that's awesome.
Just like we've been at it the whole 80 minutes, and then after the game, literally as we're shaking hands, bro, I love your podcast. I'm like, whoa, like, bro, thank you.
That's awesome, bro.
So it's a huge blessing, along the way. But you can find me on YouTube, Spotify, mostly, and then Instagram as well. So but feel free, man. Always hit me up, man, and any questions as well. Oh, shot, man. But man, I'd love to say this has been awesome. Awesome, and thank you to both of you for having me on your guys' show. I love what you guys are doing as well, and wish you nothing but the best as well with the future of this network that you guys got going on. So all the best.
Thank you.
No, too easy.
Damn.